Hi, everybody, and welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, and with me, as always, right across this tiny little table is my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hello, this is brought to you by Booster Juice. Haha, just kidding.
We wish.
Yeah.
Because you're right full of Booster Juice right now. Mm-hmm. So you've got your Funky Monkey, I've got my Strawberry Storm, and then what else did you try? People must want to know.
Oh, it was the chicken chipotle panini thingy.
Your first Chipotle experience at all.
They didn't even have onions there, so that was pretty funny.
Yeah, because he didn't want onions on it, and then so we ordered it without onions, and they said they don't even have any onions in the whole place. So
nice. And then I got this weird bowl thingy, acai energy bowl thing.
Yep, which you liked. It was granola and berries, and I don't know what the sauce and stuff was, but
it was
looked good.
It was like I know what the texture was like, and I don't remember what
It's okay.
Slushy kind of smoothie thingy, maybe, I don't know, but like it was like kind of like yogurt, but like smoothie kind of yogurt, kind of like if this was yogurt, like if you put this in a bowl.
I gotcha.
It'd probably be like similar texture.
Yeah,
but it was good.
That's good.
Almost got a brain freeze, I think.
So he's really full. He's gonna fight through it to do this podcast with us.
Mm-hmm.
But welcome back if you are a regular listener, or welcome if it's a first time. Hopefully you checked out our, what was it? Did we do Fastlane review?
More like crap fest.
Yeah, if you want to hear us being mostly negative, which we try not to be, but
I don't remember saying anything good about that pay-per-view.
That pay-per-view wasn't good, so we talked about that. I think that was on Tuesday night. So if you haven't checked that out, Wednesday was it?
What was no?
No, it wouldn't have been Wednesday.
No, was it Tuesday? No, didn't we forget to do it Tuesday?
I don't know.
It was
Wednesday.
Up there. It was Wednesday.
It was Wednesday?
Yeah.
If you say so.
I remember because we had to do it before dinner.
So that's up there. Anywhere you find our podcast,
yeah, I just gotta look in the inside process.
And if you would like to contact us, obviously it's fnswrestling@gmail.com or fns_wrestling_podcast on Instagram.
Yeah.
So what's new with me? The Raptors are still not very good. They're one of my loves in life. They're not good. They traded some players. I actually don't disagree with any of the trades. It just means that they have given up on this season, I think, pretty much, right? So that's something. But we kept Kyle Lowry, which he's the greatest Raptor ever, but hopefully we get something for him and he doesn't just leave on his own. You don't think he's the greatest Raptor ever? You just couldn't care less.
I don't know.
My other thing is the NCAA men's tournament's on, and my team has always been Syracuse since I was a little kid. You asked me why, and it was because as a little kid, without even cable TV, I could get Syracuse games from across the lake. And they were really good at that time in the 80s, so they became my team, and they still are. So they've won 2 games they shouldn't have won so far, and they play Houston tonight. I don't imagine they win tonight, but why not? It could be fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you love when I talk about sports.
Are they like the football team that you like, where they suck?
The Browns?
Yeah, sure. Whichever football team you like that sucks.
Syracuse basketball is generally much better than Browns football. Browns have been bad since basically I started liking them until pretty much this year. Yeah, the dawn of time. Nice. So, I don't know, how was your week of school? I generally ask that, and you generally try not to answer. Just fine.
It happened.
It happened.
It was a thing.
Yeah. You'll have your March break got pushed to April, so that's getting a bit closer at least, right? So that will be nice to have come around, because it's not WrestleMania week, right? But it's the week after.
No, and I don't like that I discovered the TakeOver's not on a weekend, which is very not nice.
I don't even think that was news. That's been out there for a while.
No, I know. I just assumed it was on a weekend, because that makes sense.
Nope.
And it's on a freaking weekday.
So it's Raw on Monday,
TakeOver.
Hall of Fame on Tuesday.
Wait, what? So then TakeOver.
Wednesday, Thursday, TakeOver,
but
Friday,
Thursday's
SmackDown.
also UK, though.
Oh, is it?
Well, because maybe the UK times it's in
Might
the day.
Be at a different time, right? I haven't really looked into it.
Remember, I feel like TakeOver was in the day.
Would like to watch that. I've been watching more UK lately than I have in the past,
I think what we should do is we should do a bonus podcast that'd be TakeOver and the UK thing.
We're gonna have to figure something out, because that week's gonna be ridiculous. I mean,
April break is the week after.
We
think,
so
right?
we have lots of time to do stuff.
We'll figure out a way to pump out some
I assume there'll be some bonus episodes thrown in there. You can always count on us being here on a Saturday talking for far too long about wrestling.
Oh, way too long.
Way too long.
So long.
And then during the week, we sometimes will put out some bonus episodes if things interest us or annoy us, or
just randomly.
We just have time and just do some randomness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We should probably talk about some wrestling at some point. So you want to do that now?
I downloaded Tetsuya Naito and Kenny Omega on 2K19 because they have so many random moves in the movesets that are like electric chair driver, one-winged angel, somersault, reverse DT.
Is Destino on there? Destino? Sorry, that's an inside joke that you guys don't even have access to yet, but you will later in this podcast, right?
So, they've even got like a corkscrew moonsault, which looks exactly like the Stardust press that Naito's done a bunch of times.
I love that you're getting into New Japan stuff.
Just because, so they have like basically just a bunch of moves that are other people's finishers. So I've been like, they even got the Dead Eye by Hangman / whatever Trent Beretta calls it.
Because it's because of you that I don't watch New Japan anymore, because I loved it, but then you got into wrestling and you did not want anything to do with New Japan. So to support your burgeoning addiction, I just sort of watched all the other stuff with you. So you owe me, because I watched years of Raw and SmackDown with you and not New Japan. I could have been watching New Japan, but that's what you do for your kids.
You sit through 3 hours of torture.
I did.
Although we never really watched the whole thing.
No, we would watch it in chunks. So,
I think we would like watch and then sometimes finish it.
I figure we should talk about.
I usually get spoiled with the top 10 list.
Yes, get into our first segment every week, which is where we discuss some of the week's news and rumors. And we start off with the ratings as we always do, and this is week
76.
Correct.
Yes.
Of the Wednesday Night Wars. And again, guess what? I copy and pasted. Saw AEW Dynamite defeat WWE NXT in viewership and ratings. So Wednesday's live edition of Dynamite drew 757,000 viewers on TNT, which is down. It's almost the same. It was down 1.4% from last week, while the NXT live show drew 597,000 viewers on USA Network, which is actually up 13.6%, so good for them. AEW in the 18 to 49 demographic did a 0.30, which is up 7% from last week, while NXT drew a 0.14, which is up 7.7%. So AEW wins yet again in viewership and the demo. NXT was up in both categories, which is nice. And AEW Dynamite was down slightly in overall overall views.
Nice.
So yet another sort of the same thing every week. AEW wins, and it's just a matter of...
It's coming to an end soon,
It's like, by how much, right? Yeah, it seems that way, right?
Just a matter of how much longer can they sustain this
right
Monday Night War.
So what do you have for us?
So we got more Hall of Fame inductions. So we got Kane, which is good. He's a legend, I think.
Yeah, he is.
Like, if this makes sense,
certified
legend.
Like, that's a first, as they say, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right, like it's a no-brainer. So that's good for him. And then Great Khali. Which
not quite
makes
the same.
No sense to me at all.
Well, he's very recognizable.
Yeah, but like, what has he done except for a minor failed world title run?
He's a former world champion. Yeah, I don't know if you know this about him. He's really, really big.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
But like, honestly, like, I know he won the world title, but that was like what, for like a couple months, and like
you
that
would know
no
better
one
than
liked.
I, for sure.
And honestly, this feels similar to them inducting Coco Beware.
He's definitely had a higher profile.
Well, yeah,
and I love Coco, and I can't stand Great Khali, but
Great Khali sucks and has hardly done anything.
He was a horrible wrestler, but he was high profile for a while, and they just need to fill this thing up. And there's no criteria other than they want you to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right? There's like Eric Bischoff is in. Batista has been pulled because he was supposed to be inducted last year, they're doing 2020 and 2021 this year. So he got pulled from the 2020 whatever one he's in.
Yeah.
Due to other obligations, but per his request, he'll be inducted at another point.
It almost feels like they have like every year a tier. We want a couple guys at this tier, like, and a couple here, and then a couple that are questionable. I wish
there's like an actual Hall of Fame where like they would like maybe if there's a fan vote, like not even that, but just like there's at least criteria for it, right? Like,
right.
I think Batista could fit it. Like, he was a very big star in his era.
Oh, he's
right?
a Hall of Famer,
so
I think, yeah.
Right, like, and Randy Orton would make sense, John Cena makes sense, Kane, Undertaker,
those
Triple H, Shawn Michaels, right? But then like you got guys like Teddy Long. Yes, he's probably a legend, but like I think it should be for wrestlers. I think they could have a separate like mini Hall of Fame for like people like him and Bischoff. But like
they do different wings, they call it, right? So they're in the like.
That's what I mean, though. Yeah. I think like I don't think it should just be like all one, because then like
you could just separate in-ring talent and other,
right?
If you needed to, right?
And I don't know, just think also it's kind of weird when like I guess it kind of makes sense, but like Ric Flair's a 2-time Hall of Famer because of the 4 Horsemen.
That kind of bugs me. I don't know.
I don't
because they change characters so often and join and move from faction to faction.
It's like, really hard for me to. Like, because I agree, it does kind of bug me that, but then at the same time, 4 Horsemen's like one of the greatest factions, so like they do kind of deserve it, but then like it's kind of a mixed bag for me.
But then you just say they're all in there, and you're not. I don't know. It's
right. Like I don't think
you could put Flair in, and then you put the group in, but it doesn't necessarily mean Flair has to be in twice. He's just already in.
Right.
I don't know. I guess it's not that big a deal.
I think Shawn Michaels is like, or Triple H is already a Hall of Famer, even though he hasn't been inducted.
Right.
But anyways, let's move on.
Okay.
Rob Van Dam is possibly going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Exciting.
Again, he's probably a legend, but not by WWE.
I think he just misses.
I think if there's an ECW Hall of Fame,
and I loved him. He was my favorite wrestler at a time.
If there's an ECW Hall of Fame, put him in there.
Of course.
But WWE, I don't really know.
Unless they're going to say we're including everything that we own now, which is
right.
ECW.
No, so
they
then
probably
it makes sense. I think they would.
I think they would too.
I think they inducted Diamond Dallas Page, and what did he do in WWE? Right.
Nothing.
So
because they didn't want him to do anything there.
Right. So I think they're probably including more.
He didn't get famous in WWE, so we got to bury you, brother, when you get here. But anyways,
it'd be funny if they claimed he did get famous in WWE because he drove with Rhythm and Blues.
He did, right? We talked about that last week in trivia, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I took a look at the updated WrestleMania card because as a non-main roster follower, I wasn't even entirely sure about all of these. Most of them, I think. So night 1, we have Cesaro Seth Rollins, which again we were just saying will probably be a really good match, but I don't. Is there a story there?
Rollins, so he was doing one of those, like, you remember
he got swung a lot. I know he's mad about that.
Remember when he was starting to turn heel and he did, like, after Survivor Series?
Yeah.
He did, like, the promo when everyone was around the ring and he was being mean to everyone.
Yes.
So he kind of did that after he returned at the Rumble. Yeah. And Cesaro was the last one to leave, so then he attacked Cesaro.
Okay, so that's... Okay.
And then, he got
There's something there.
A bunch. There's something there.
Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman. No desire to see. Miz, Bad Bunny. No desire to see.
Oh my god, so gross.
Raw Tag Team Championship match, New Day, AJ Styles, and Omos. Like, other than...
I'm gonna give that a chance. It's New Day and then AJ Styles.
Right,
so...
and then I'm super curious about Omos because he's done
I want
nothing.
them to win just so Styles is a Grand Slam champion.
We'll
just because that's interesting.
Yeah. Women's Championship match, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair should be good.
Feud's been crap, but the match hopefully won't be.
Yes, and then Lashley McIntyre and the Hurt Business are banned from ringside, so that should be a really good match.
What a stipulation!
Right?
Should be like main roster standards good.
Yeah, I think that one could be really good. Night 2, we've got Owens and Sami Zayn, which should be an awesome match. But what's going on with them? I don't even know. Do you know?
I don't know, because maybe Owens is annoyed with the document. I don't know. But
I know that's what Sammy's been doing lately, right? Is this conspiracy kind of thing?
I don't think their feud works this way. To me, this is exactly like Gargano-Ciampa last year when Gargano was heel and Ciampa was face. That just is not how... This feels very backwards to me. I'm not saying Owens has been a bad face, but I don't think it works here because their feud is literally built on him beating the crap out of Sami Zayn out of nowhere, right? Like,
right, which is not a babyface thing to do.
And then Sami Zayn's just trying to get revenge, and I don't think the match could be good, but I think part of what made those matches good was the dynamic they had, and that's kind of gone here. So I don't know.
The in-ring will be good, no doubt, right? It's just how much you care, I guess. I don't know.
It could be decent. Kind of like Rollins Cesaro, sorry.
It's okay. Randy Orton, The Fiend, don't care.
This is going to suck if it's a normal match. If it's not even if it's a cinema match, it'll probably suck. But if it's a cinema match, it may suck less or at least make sense more.
And I try to be the optimist, but I don't. Like you, I'll sometimes be like, it might be good, buddy. It might be okay. This one I don't see it.
I can't think of a WWE Cinematch that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, they're.
I mean, the Firefly Funhouse match is okay, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it.
I haven't enjoyed any. I
would like this to be either Firefly Funhouse or actually, I can't think of anything else. Firefly Funhouse, thanks.
We've then got Intercontinental Championship match, Big E and Apollo Crews again.
I would say give these guys I feel like they could have a pretty cool.
You give them 20 minutes.
Falls Count Anywhere or something.
Yeah, I would. I was getting into their match on Fastlane and it was just over, right? So
imagine they fought at TLC in a steel stairs match because Apollo Crews beats him up with steel stairs.
Use the steel. It's about showing him the steel or whatever his
yeah,
his
I don't know. I
is.
think maybe some no DQ stipulation would benefit them here. I think if they actually got a proper match because they didn't at Fastlane.
No, they didn't.
Then this could be good.
I agree. I'm interested in that one. Asuka, Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. I'm interested in.
Could be cool. Get the belt off Asuka though. She's honestly hurting the title now.
I guess
because she's just doing nothing.
And they need to give Rhea a moment back, right? They kind of stole it from her last year.
Right,
so
yeah. No, they did.
This is like the makeup for
I think it's not even Asuka's fault that she's hurting the titles because they're hurting her by not making her cool, not letting her do anything, which hurts the title.
I would love
as well.
And I love Asuka for Asuka to lose and snap and go just full heel Asuka.
But then that once again kind of takes out Ripley's moment.
Yeah, but Ripley can win. She can win the belt, and Asuka snaps afterwards. I don't know. And then, of course, the main event of the whole weekend, I assume, is Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan, which is officially a triple threat now. Surprise, surprise, as we all 100% predicted after Fastlane, right? That's where it was going. So I'm actually prefer that Bryan's in there. I'm more interested in the match.
He's going to help the match for sure.
Because he's in there. So I don't mind triple threat matches either. I know a lot of people don't like them. I think they're fine. I
think if they're worked right, it's not like, oh, these guys wrestle. These guys wrestle. I think if it's like there's a good back and forth and there's they're all involved a good amount, then I think they're good. But I think a lot of people don't like them because usually WWE don't know what they're doing with them.
And these three guys are all excellent professional wrestlers, right? So they'll probably pull off a pretty good triple threat match here. So
I would hope so.
So that's the card as it stands now. I don't know if there's anything else they're going to add or not, because usually there's the Battle Royal, obviously, right?
I would hope. I honestly would like that this year, just because it's something mindless to watch.
Because they need to get people on the show to give them their payday, right? Which is nice. They do try and cram as many people into the show as they can.
And honestly, even though it has no point, I do like Battle Royals.
Yeah, they're almost always fun.
I forgot that it wasn't on last year's show, but I did kind of miss it now.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
It would. Any more news from you?
So we got new Thunderdome location revealed. So I think currently they're in Tropicana Fields, which is
and they're almost done. So I just heard they've taped a whole bunch of stuff before they leave, sort of thing.
They are moving to the University of South Florida's Ewingling Center.
Great.
I don't know how to say that.
The problem is we won't even notice the difference.
I don't.
They'll just throw those screens in and it'll look the same.
Honestly, don't really care. Just put that in there.
No, it's good to know.
Yeah. So Aleister Black, as well with his absence, is also
never heard of him. He still exists.
He's also dealing with some minor injuries, so it's not just WWE being WWE.
Right.
It's also, I guess, he's a bit injured or something. Don't know from what.
We love Aleister Black. He's just another example of an NXT guy that was completely wasted on main roster, as is honestly, and I think we're being fair, far more often than not, right? That the NXT call-ups are just
I could name a bunch of examples right off my hand.
There are like dozen maybe by now examples.
Mm-hmm.
So John Silver is now out 4 to 6 weeks with a shoulder injury that he sustained on a match we'll review during our Dynamite review coming up after this. So it was a guardrail spot, which we guessed watching the match. It looked pretty bad. He hit it really fast and came over at an awkward angle a little bit. Good news, though, is no surgery required, so he just sort of needs to rest and rehab probably 4 to 6 weeks.
That's good.
But, I mean, he's such an engaging, entertaining personality. They can keep him on the show, right? Even just in Dark Order segments.
They did it with Baker, right? Stuff. And that was months and months.
So they can have him still on the show. He just obviously won't be working in ring, but hopefully he heals because he's fantastic. He's just coming into his own right now, so let's hope that they can keep using him. What else do you have?
So I guess you weren't happy when Zelina Vega was gone?
No, right? I was not. I think she's fantastic.
Andrade's gone. I mean, I think you'd both be sad and happy about that.
Yeah, for Andrade's sake, and I hope he ends up somewhere I will see him. But yeah, just glad that he's gone. He hasn't been on TV since October.
Same with Aleister
and he's healthy. And that's crazy because he's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And so Charlie Caruso's gone now.
Yes. I love her
I don't know if she left or she got fired, but there's been some reports of backstage heat because she was showing up late to interviews.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I've heard people talk about whether maybe that's true or maybe that's WWE trying to make her look bad on her way out the door because she wants out. Because I think she's another one like Renee, where she's going to have lots of options, right? Because she can do actual sports stuff. She's
great.
She's really good. I think so too. So I think she probably has options.
I think AEW needs some more better interviewers and stuff. So
I don't really notice them that much. She stands out even doing those panels and things, right? She's pretty good at. So, but again, I think
she'd be cool on like the countdown.
I bet you'll see her on some sports network. I think she may not do wrestling, but she may be involved in sports. She's really good. She looks great on camera.
Yep.
She's quick on her feet. She seems smart. So I think she has options. My last thing is that Impact officially, I think, is moving to Thursday nights starting April 8th. It looks like that's...
And NXT's moving to Tuesdays. I'm sure that's no coincidence.
It would seem, right, that they are pretty confident that NXT must be moving to Tuesdays, so they're getting out of there first.
Just a coincidence.
So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other for me. I'll still watch it. I don't usually watch it live anyways, so I don't watch anything live really, right, in life, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. It's just interesting. They clearly know that NXT, I agree, NXT would take some of their viewership and they don't have a lot to begin with, right? So it seems like a smart strategy to sort of get away from competition if it's not hard for them to do that. Yeah. Anything else for you?
Daga is rumored to sign.
I saw that.
Daga.
I've seen him
rumored to sign with AEW. Yeah.
I was never
I've never seen him at all ever.
I was never crazy impressed with him, but I think I also haven't seen a ton of him, and he wasn't focused on. He was in Lucha Underground, I believe.
Yeah. And I don't have this in my news, but on a related note, Tessa Blanchard's been pictured training with Banks and Bailey.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Well,
so that's good.
She is amazing. Hopefully she's sort of made some changes in her personality, perhaps. But because, hey, second chance for sure. Hopefully if she...
yeah, she's amazing.
She's unbelievable in the ring.
Right.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
So WWE files a trademark for the term WCW.
Oh, yeah?
So...
They can keep it, I guess? Because I think, yeah.
And last but very much least... Logan Paul is going to appear on SmackDown next week at Sami Zayn's documentary premiere.
Amazing.
Any knowledge of Logan Paul?
I am aware of who he is, and that he's like a YouTube person, and that he's, I think, obnoxious, possibly. I don't know. Yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To choose my words
him and his
carefully.
Brother are just terrible on YouTube.
Because one of them boxes people sometimes now.
Him, I think.
It's that one?
I think. And the other ones made crappy songs and scammy business thingies.
I basically know enough about them to know that I don't even barely want to acknowledge them or even like, you know what I mean? Like,
keep
I don't need to.
Like crappy celebrity appearances. Bad Bunny, meet Logan Paul.
I don't know. I know enough to know I don't need to know any more about them.
I've watched like a bunch of videos on Jake Paul, I think, because like he's had like these, he's become a famous YouTuber, and so, for like a small price, he can teach you the secrets to fame too.
Of course he can.
Right? And it's like one of those things where like YouTube's just kind of luck, right? So, and not like, you can't teach success.
We all know the key to fame and fortune is to record 3-hour wrestling podcasts on Saturdays with no video.
But anyway, so this sucks. Gross. I don't watch SmackDown anyway, so, but I'm sure I'll watch this on YouTube because I'm an idiot.
Nice. Okay, so that finishes up news and rumors, I guess.
Yes.
And we'll take us into our next section, which is our first sort of in-depth review of the Wednesday Night War, and that is our AEW Dynamite review.
Yeah, so we keep getting this at midnight because of basketball, so we watched this yesterday, actually.
We did. So, yeah, we've had to sort of switch and watch NXT first.
And we start with Kenny Omega versus Matt Sydal, the AEW World Championship Eliminator match, which just basically means if Sydal wins, he gets a future title shot.
Now, I'd like to say before you begin that I was sort of okay with this match. Yeah, I'm not a big Sydal fan.
Because we both know they're good, right?
But they're nowhere near the same level. There's no way Sydal's going to win. So I was a little surprised to see it as the opener.
Right.
But anyways,
I thought this would be a main event, close to the main event.
I was very thankful that you were the one who had to take detailed notes on this one, and I could just sit back and watch.
And Kenny Omega got his epic intro back. I was very happy to see that because I just think it adds to his heel, just kind of like, I don't know, arrogant prick kind of character.
His overall presentation, it's just a little bit bigger,
it's
better.
Meant to kind of annoy you because like he's a heel, right? So I just think it works and it's funny, and so I missed it and it's back. So I still like it every time. Yeah, I love it. And it's just one of those entrances where it's like kind of like the Acclaimed, where it's going to be unique every time.
Right.
I wonder who comes up with these. I would honestly love to know.
I don't know. I haven't heard.
It'd be interesting. Anyway, so we start with the routine holds and counters. A back elbow by Omega, body slam, and then he kind of runs into an elbow drop for 2. Chop by Omega, arm drag, and then the tilt whirl head scissors takedown by Seidel. And Omega narrowly avoids a kick, and it looked like, you noted, Seidel looked like he legit wanted to kick Omega's head off.
Because sometimes when they do that stuff, right, though, you can tell the guy executing the move is sort of pulling his punch or kick a little bit just in case. And like I don't know, this looked like a legitimate dodge of an actual kick, so which is cool.
Repeated like short arm, kind of like a shoulder block by Omega.
Surprisingly effective looking and so simple. Like while he had a knuckle lock, right, and just
like he was holding
repeatedly pulling him into it, and it looked really good and really simple.
Mm-hmm. Leg trip and a standing kind of Phoenix Senton deal for 2 by Senton. Like instead of a Phoenix Splash, just like a no Swanton kind of thing, or like a somersault Senton. So called a Phoenix Senton because that makes sense.
Sure.
Knee strike by Seidel, and Omega tries to throw Seidel off the top rope, but Seidel counters into a head scissors takedown. Lariat by Omega, backdrop kind of suplex on the apron by Omega. He's just standing on the ground.
Right.
So it didn't look like super impactful, but it looked fine.
Yep.
Back in the ring, a backbreaker for 2 by Omega. Seidel avoids a powerbomb and hits a jumping heel kick and a leg lariat. Hurricane Rana by Seidel, followed by a Fisherman Brainbuster for 2.
Nice.
Great sequence there. Omega gets a unique counter to a Frankenstein. Seidel lands leg first from the top rope, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, it was
so like
cool.
He was like standing on the top rope, right, and so Seidel goes for the Frankenstein, right, and so as like he's kind of like almost about to get Omega kind of like slips out and jumps down, and like so then Seidel kind of lands like split-legged on the top rope.
It was a unique escape, and ends up kind of crushing him on the top. It was cool.
A Snapdragon suplex by Omega, followed by Patella drop brainbuster.
Always looks awesome.
Seidel avoids a V-trigger, gets a really good near fall roll-up.
He did.
Roundhouse kick and a lightning spiral, which is the Page's page turner move.
Looks really good too.
For another near fall by Seidel. Omega catches Seidel's Meteor attempt, which I thought was really unique.
Yep.
And then he uses that to hit a buckle bomb, which I thought was awesome. Then he falls with a normal power bomb and just a big fat running knee strike for 2.
That sequence was awesome.
Right. V-trigger. Seidel counters the One-Winged Angel into an awesome poison rana.
Really good.
Great. Omega hits the ropes to knock Seidel off of the turnbuckle and avoid what I assume would be airborne, the shooting star press.
I would think so.
V-trigger while Seidel is seated on the top turnbuckle, which I don't think I've seen before, so I thought that was really cool. Always love like when you can find a variation like that. And so he tries to pick him out for the One-Winged Angel out of the corner, and Seidel counters that into a victory roll for another really good near fall. Omega barely got out of that one.
Even though you know it's impossible, you still kind of
it makes you think. It almost makes you think.
Yep.
And then we get the V-trigger and the One-Winged Angel by Kenneth Omega for the win, and he gets the win. And I loved Don Callis is leaving commentary, and then Tony Schiavone is here. Thanks for leaving.
Yeah,
which I thought was really
their
funny.
hatred for him is great.
Yes.
So going into this match, I decided my note-taking strategy was going to be, because you take such awesomely detailed notes, I was like, I'll just, absorb the match and make notes of any like kind of spots that I thought were really cool. And I ended up with like, I don't know, 15, 16 bullets, you know what I mean? So this match was fantastic, I thought. It felt like this. Kenny's trying to slow things down and Seidel's trying to speed things up. And it's not just the commentary team telling us this, right? You actually see that this is what's happening. Kenny's trying to keep him close and just hit him with like strong offense. And Seidel's trying to get away and get his high flying and speed going. And it was amazing. Seidel just kind of keeps surviving long enough to hit flurries of his own. And he got tons of offense. And even though there was no chance that he was going to win, he looked amazing. He pulled off some near falls that were believable, which is hard to believe because Like, there's no way Omega's losing this match. He had some really cool counters to Kenny's offense. And I'm going to say it. I like this more than anything I saw on Fastlane, a pay-per-view last week. And I make this comparison because I think it's fair. The outcomes of those matches were predictable, just like this one. But this match was fun and exciting and felt fresh somehow.
Right.
I haven't seen
like
this 50 times.
For me, this is like, as you say that, a polar opposite to Bryan and Reigns. Like, that one, you knew Roman Reigns was going to win. Of course. I think that's a great comparison because Roman and Kenny are so similar right now. But, like, and Bryan, I don't think got any, like, near falls that were as believable as what Seidel got. Sure, they were just roll-ups, but they were, like, really good. Close. And, like, roll-ups can be used really effectively when they're used like that, right? It's just always the distraction roll-ups or something stupid like that always annoys me, but like I think they can work when they're used properly.
Yeah, this match was and this was the opening match of a TV show versus like any
the main
match
event
on
of a pay-per-view.
So this was an excellent opener. I was super impressed. It over-delivered big time for me. What did you think?
Sorry, I'd just like to mention I found a news thing that Aleister Black's been spotted at the Performance Center.
Nice. Please bring him back, NXT.
Anyway, so I thought this was really good and a great opener. And obviously Seidel was never going to win, but like I mentioned, I thought there were some great near falls, particularly the 2 roll-ups, and I even thought like the flurry with like the lightning spiral was a really good near fall as well. Seidel, and like I think if he were to win, that would be a logical way, just like a roll-up kind of like all of a sudden.
You're right.
Right. Those near falls, they were like really close, and they almost had me believing he could win for a second, right? Which is really good. That's kind of how you want it to feel. And other than that, I thought the match was like really good. I thought Seidel had some great counters for the one-winged angel. I thought the second one into the roll-up that was unique. I don't think I've seen that. I thought the Hurricane Run and Brainbuster sequence was cool, and Omega's counter to the Meteora was something I don't think I've seen before.
He's so strong, man.
When he transitioned into the Buckle Bomb with the Power Bomb and then the Knee Strike, I thought that was great as well. And the V-Trigger when Seidel was on the top turnbuckles, also unique and cool. And it feels like I'm covering the match again, but I just thought there's like a lot of really good stuff here. It's a good match. I heard this was like, I think 12 minutes or so.
Something like that, I think, yeah.
And
fantastic.
It flew by. It was a really good match.
Yep.
And I'm happy that Omega's intro is back as well because it adds to his great character. So I just thought this was a really good opener, I think.
Yes.
An early match of the year contender for me. I think we'll have to see, obviously, what else we get.
Right.
But I think as it stands right now, it's for sure a contender.
Maybe we should add a TV match of the year category.
That
kind of makes sense, right?
I think that'd be fun. This would then be in the running for sure.
And you're going to hear me say this a bunch of times tonight, because I know I put it in my notes a bunch. Things on this show felt the perfect length, and I would include this match. It just felt like the perfect length, and some of the segments and stuff coming up.
Didn't feel like 12 minutes, but I think that was a great
No, point. I was engaged the whole time. I had one of my early notes is there's an awesome pace to this match right off the bat, right? So, great opener for sure. I liked it a lot.
So we get John Silver interview, and they do a funny demonstration of his preparation for the coffin drop. So they basically have Dark Order members trust falling, and just Silver sidestepping out of the way, and then the Dark Order guys catch them, which I thought was a really funny one. And then they don't catch 5 because like they talk to Hangman or whatever I think it is, and then basically Paige just wishes him luck, and that like the Dark Order will be proud of him, win or lose. Just kind of.
It's super sweet segment. I love this.
It's thought it was really
it's funny. Like funny and sweet. And here's another one. The absolute perfect length, right? Silver's hilarious. The dynamic with this group is just amazing. I laughed out loud for the right reasons while watching wrestling, and that doesn't happen all the time, right? I laughed out loud on Fastlane too, but they didn't want me to.
Right. They don't want you to laugh at a burn victim.
This is just
out of the ring.
super unique little faction or big faction, I guess, that I just really enjoy, and they don't drag their segments out very long. It's a quick little hit of entertainment and humor within the show. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Next we get Hangman Adam Page versus mustache tall man Cesar Bononi.
Yes, tall man.
Strikes by Hangman, boot to the face by Hangman, and he low bridges Bononi out of the ring. Bononi catches a plancha and slams Hangman on the apron. Strikes and rolling elbow by Hangman. Body slam by Bononi. Lariats don't take down Bononi, but an exploder suplex does. And then we get the buckshot lariat for the win for Hangman. And I thought this was a nice little squash match. Bononi looked decent in the little offense he got.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to complain about a win for Hangman, so.
I thought it was it was basically an enhancement match. I thought it was interesting that Benoni was working even bigger than he is, I think, right? Like, because he is a big guy, but it was like he was the Big Show or something. Page couldn't body slam him at one point, like can't pick him up. And Adam Page is really, really strong.
Right.
And he also struggled to knock him off his feet. Like it would take multiple whatever to knock him down. So I thought that was a bit interesting, I'll say. I don't really see much in Cesar Benoni, but this wrestling wise, I think was my low point of the show. And that's not, it still wasn't terrible. It was just a standard enhancement match. And Page is awesome. And I just glad to have him on TV.
So next we get Lance Archer promo, and he says he used to look up to Sting. He says that Sting's bat meant justice back in the day, and people paid attention to Sting. Now they'll pay attention to Archer, and he says one way or another, it's going to be showtime.
I think this is 3 times in a row that I'm going to say this is a good promo from Archer.
I wonder if there's something wrong with Jake Roberts.
The last 2 live ones were good, and this was a pre-recorded, obviously, one. I thought it was pretty good as well. I don't care about the feud because it involves Sting, but that's not Archer's fault, right? I think with what they're giving Archer, he's doing a really good job. And like a month ago, I would have told you this guy's bad on the mic, but I've thought those last 3 things have been pretty good, at least acceptable to good. You?
Yeah, I thought this was good. I agree, he's improving. I think if they can do a similar thing for Cage, I think that would be good because I think Cage is better.
He's the other one that I think isn't good on the mic too, and I do prefer him in ring to Archer.
Yeah, I think he might be getting a little better. I mean, we'll have to see. Time will tell.
I would love that.
Yeah. Next we get Britt Baker coming out. So she gets interviewed by Tony Schiavone on the stage. And she's wearing a shirt with her bloody face on it.
And just before that, remember they showed Thunder Rosa speaking right after the match, looking all a mess, and she actually cut a really passionate promo, and I was excited because it's the first character development we've really gotten for her at all, like just giving her a moment to talk about whatever she's been through and thanking the fans and stuff. So I thought that was really good, and that's what's missing for me with Thunder Rosa. I'm starting to love her in the ring, but I just want to know more about her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I thought that was good. It was a little short, so I don't think
it was like almost nothing, but I just thought it was something that stuck out to me because I don't think we know enough about her. Sorry, then the Baker promo.
So Baker complains about the lack of applause for the hell she went through last week. She says that they are as delusional as Thunder Rosa. Baker says that Rosa should be thanking Baker for that match because Rosa got to be a part of the history that Baker wrote with her own blood. Baker is mad about Rosa saying she put the division on the map, and Baker says that everybody's talking about her. Baker says she didn't care about the adulation while giving a shout out to Mick Foley for the thumbs up, but she claimed it took him 20 years to be a hardcore legend, and she did it in one night, which I thought was really funny. Heel logic.
I like that too.
Baker says that she was never able to see more clearly while telling Tony Khan that he looks around for legends, and he has the biggest legend standing right under his nose.
Which I liked as well.
And she says that she put AEW on the map, but those letters come second place to the most epic 3 letters in professional wrestling, DMD.
I thought this was a very good promo that got stronger as it went on. I liked her attitude about like, it's really nice all these people are telling me I'm whatever now, but like I always was, and I kind of don't need you guys to tell me that anyways, right? Like I know I'm amazing. I don't need you people telling me, and I'm amazing a lot faster than some of you ever were, sort of thing. I also think, I think I mentioned this in the moment, this DMD and hand gesture thing she's doing, it seems like a little thing, but that is a huge deal. If she ever turns face, and I bet you people will do it even while she's a heel, she now has something that the crowd can say and do when she's there. And that, I was telling you, it's like getting something like the diamond cutter or what that symbol, right? Something that a hand gesture you can do that's uniquely yours.
Adam Cole Baby.
With a little catchphrase. It seems like a tiny detail, but it's a big deal and just another thing for her to sort of be a star.
Something like Adam Cole or Daniel Bryan.
Right, and making it your own. The yes thing was huge. Like that even transcended wrestling. That was into sports in the real world.
Right, and even after Bryan was retired for a bit.
Like even Fandangoing made it
right
for a while, right? So, and this is way cooler. So I think it's a big deal. I thought this was a good promo. What did you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. I think ever since she turned heel, she's been amazing.
Just
so
the confidence is crazy, right?
And I love the Mick Foley jab.
Me too.
That was pretty funny.
Yep.
And I agree the catchphrase thing is important. I think it works. I think it's good to have if you can have one.
And it's just her, it's that subtle way of her constantly like, I'm a doctor, by the way, right? Like, I'm better than you. It's
I can wrestle and be a doctor.
Right, I'm an amazing wrestler, and I'm clearly a big brain, and I'm a doctor.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah, it was really good. From good to Christian. We get Christian Cage backstage. Christian is shown backstage talking to some younger wrestlers, Brian Pillman Jr., Griff Garrison, Dante Martin. I'm sure they are so happy to talk to him. Yeah.
Wisdom, baby.
Dasha Gonzalez shows up to interview Christian. He speaks to them about their big tag team match later in the show. And then Kazarian
Yep.
Walks up to Cage saying he hasn't had time to say hi to an old friend.
In kind of like a snotty way, right? Like, clearly Kaz is annoyed with Christian as he's speaking to him.
I would be too.
Yep.
Frankie wonders when the work part begins in Christian's stupid catchphrase. Cage tells Kazarian if he's free, then the work starts next week. And Frankie agrees to the match. He shakes his hand and tells Christian maybe we should watch Frankie's match on Dark Elevation on Monday night, because 7 years is a long time out of the ring for Christian. And as we know, Dark Elevation is the most marquee, must-see wrestling show of all time.
So, at the risk of this is going to be a bit of a love fest for me, I like this, and I thought Kaz was actually really good.
Yeah, it was
as being good. Like the guy who's clearly friends or has known Christian for a long time, who's kind of put out because Christian's like too cool for him, or thinks he's
getting
above
all
him.
This attention,
and also this idea like your whole thing is you outwork everyone, but here you are just standing backstage talking to people, right? Where I'm actually putting in work. So I think his point of view makes sense, especially from the heel. And I thought Christian was actually really good too here. The cranky Frankie thing was stupid, I thought, but everything else I thought Christian did a good job. And I thought this is a nice, simple, well-executed way to set up a match for next week, right? It's just a quick, like, we need an instant, feud's too strong of a word, but whatever. Reason for these two guys some sort of reason for them to have a fight. Here you go. And it's quick, efficient, and I thought they both did a good job.
Yeah, it was good. I don't think Christian needs to wrestle. Don't think he needs to be here, but whatever.
But he cut a good promo here, and I thought Kaz was better, which I was a bit surprised. I thought Kaz did a really good job. I liked it.
I think I would just like to mention, I think they're using Paul White really good just as a commentator. I think that, I haven't seen it, but I just think that's good. I don't think Christian or Sting or should be wrestling, so.
No, I thought Paul, and when I did watch Elevation, the one probably and only time I will, I thought he was doing an okay job. Like, he can speak really well, he's intelligent, so I'm sure he'll pick it up fast.
So you get the Pinnacle, which is represented by Shawn Spears and FTR, versus Dante Martin and the Varsity Blondes.
Yes.
Because I think Darius is out with something.
I think he is too. He must be.
COVID.
Maybe.
Garrison and Spears start the match. Holds and counters. Pillman tags in. An arm hold is being applied, and Dante Martin tags in and does a foot stomp on the arm. Pillman tags in. And so does Dax, and he hits a clothesline to Pillman. A leg drop, and then an elbow drop, and then a headbutt by Dax, so just like rapid fire thingy things. Corner chops by Dax, Spears tags in, strikes and super kicks by Pillman to Spears and Dax. Yes, Dax. Dante tags in and hits a moonsault. Double spear by Griff Garrison. Dante and the Varsity Blondes go for a triple dive, but Wardlow blocks their way as we go into a commercial break. Back in the match from the commercial break, and it's Dax Harwood and Dante Martin legal. Nice brainbuster by Dax right off the bat. Shawn Spears tags in, and FTR take out the Varsity Blondes, and Spears hits the Death Valley Driver, which they stupidly call the C4, for the win.
That bugs me every time, too.
The Pinnacle get the win. So Wardlow attacks Pillman with the knee drop, where he drops him on the knee thingy.
Right. Which kind of looked not as good as it normally does there, but anyways. It was basically an enhancement match. I thought Dax looked really good. He was like, it's almost like FTR, one or the other of them is just on fire in a match, right? Like that they're going to be the one that just works super fast. And I think it was Dawson this time. But basically enhancement
Dax
match.
Harwood.
It was kind of fun while it lasted, but it was an enhancement match again, right? But I still enjoyed it for what it was. You?
Mm-hmm. I thought it was fine squash match fodder, and I thought the Pinnacle looked good.
Yep.
Varsity Blondes are getting better, but I honestly can't tell if they're still improving because they didn't really do anything here.
They didn't do much
of note. Either way, I'm interested in this new group and what they do next. And I just realized Double or Nothing's in a couple months, right?
Yeah.
So do you remember what we got at Double or Nothing last year?
I do not.
Just the one match, that one match.
Which one match? Omega and...
No. The Stadium Stampede.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So I'm thinking Stadium Stampede 2 and the Circle Pinnacle.
Well, yeah, and that's what I remember. I said that's why somebody was saying that's why they have spears, because they need to balance the numbers with Inner Circle.
Well, and he's already affiliated
and
with
then
FTR.
After Stadium Stampede, they can cut him.
Why is everyone got against Sean Spears?
The stuff I listen to are not fans. I thought his DVD looked really good. It annoys me that they've given it the name of a move that already exists that isn't that.
That's cooler.
But that is cooler as well. You're right.
The move is cooler.
Yeah.
I think he's hasn't been that good in AEW, but he is good. I don't get why Sean Spears is in there for the numbers.
He's just, I don't know. He's there. He's kind of he's fine.
So Tony Schiavone gets an interview. Cash, basically the gist of what he says, the Pinnacle's family. Dax says Santana and Ortiz have done well for themselves, and they are the best and not the Inner Circle now. And MJ says he's confused because he thought Jericho would come out and he has to come to break the walls down, and the only thing Jericho breaks is any chair he sits in.
Yep.
Which I thought was a great
fat jokes are directed at Jericho.
MJ says when you're in the Pinnacle, you are always on top, which I think is another good catchphrase.
Yep.
So I thought the promo was good, and FTR both had some good little bits. MJF had some funny shots at Jericho, and his promos are never bad, I think, and I like the catchphrase at the end. Kind of like Britt Baker's, it just, it works.
Yeah, I think that's... I thought Dax and MJF were really good here. MJF shots at Jericho are fine. I'm sure Jericho's okay with them and telling him to push even further, so I don't think it's a problem. I think the right people spoke here and they did a good job, and I kind of like Wardlow in that role too, right? I think he's a really good enforcer type character, the strong, silent guy that's just always there. So I thought this was good as well. This show is top notch so far.
Right. Next we get Team Taz speaking. Taz says things are all right with the group, and Taz claims that Brian Cage apologized to the group last week about what he said and personally apologized to Starks, and Cage doesn't seem to be agreeing.
Right.
But then they all say they're in, and he says who betta at the end, so it's honestly hard to tell.
So I thought Cage did a really good job with his facial expressions here, because I thought
he just looked kind of I don't know,
I thought
disgruntled or
yeah,
whatever. His
subtle gestures there made it clear that Taz isn't speaking the truth, right? And that he's embellishing or lying at one or the two. And also I thought it's cool because at the end he refuses to say what Taz wants him to, right? Like he's supposed to say something like, yeah, we're all good or whatever.
Yeah, or I'm in.
And he just says his own personal catchphrase. So I thought that was a nice touch. I thought he communicated here better than when he speaks, to be perfectly honest. Just through his little... I thought he did a good job. I could tell by looking at his face that he wasn't on board with what Taz was saying. I don't like that
it's him that's, one, appreciating Sting, two, leaving the group, because I think he's one of the guys who should be in the group.
That's exactly what I had, is I wish that we could switch this and have Starks being the one on his way out.
Although I don't want Starks as a babyface, though.
No, but I don't know. I don't want Cage. I think Cage and Hobbs would be an awesome tag team.
Yeah, I think Cage should not be a tag team.
But for now, everybody has to do a turn until there's even Mox is now out of singles for a while, right? Because you got to rotate people through, and it's a way to keep them fresh. But yeah, I like this as well. And again, I thought this was the perfect length, because sometimes the Taz stuff goes on for too long or they let too many people talk, and I thought this was perfect length again. Mm-hmm. I think we're coming into my low point of the show.
Which is Keith Marshall.
Correct.
Marshall, whatever they say now.
Sorry, I just say Marshall because it's locked in my brain.
But they say Marshall now, and I know it's what you're probably right, but I don't. Yeah. It's weird that they stopped, because I think they did when they started.
Yeah, they haven't called him Marshall here at all, I don't think, in AEW.
QT Marshall is interviewed on the stage with Tony Schiavone. He talks about how he's Cody's friend, and it has his perks while pointing out his wife in the crowd and saying he's known her since they were 8 years old. Marshall says that Cody taught him the value of doing the work. Marshall says that there's nobody in AEW other than Tony Khan himself that's done more work in AEW than him, I guess.
Yeah.
Marshall talks about winning the first bunkhouse match in Dynamite history. Marshall speaks about all the things he does for Cody, who will go back to Marriott tonight with his wife.
Cutting his t-shirts made me laugh. Yeah. I make sure his t-shirts are cut properly. Right. So it's he's... Yeah, anyways. I thought that was funny.
QT will stay up all night and work while his wife sleeps alone. QT says there's nothing you can do without an asterisk that reads Cody's friend on it. Marshall says that the only way to get out of this man's shadow is to have an exhibition between two friends for him to prove to the entire world, but show that he can hang with the best. Marshall says that he won't is take meaningless bumps and jeopardize the quality of his life once his in-ring career is over, if it has to be in that man's shadow. Cody Rhodes walks out with the brace on his left arm because I guess he's maybe injured or kayfabe injury. Or, I don't know. Cody says that he will gladly accommodate Marshall and the Nightmare Family. Cody says you can have the exhibition match with Arn Anderson as the referee. Cody says that he understands Marshall will try to beat him, but Cody will try to stop that. And then he says if he won't hurt him, and if he applies the figure four, he'll relinquish it, and if he applies the crossroads, he won't hit it.
Cody.
Which is like, so then how are you going to stop him from winning?
I don't know. It's because it's Cody. He's just so good. He can win without hurting him. He'll just pin him gently because it's Cody.
Right. Cody talked about QT being a great assistant, great man, and he is a friend. Cody's friend chant started again, and Cody says QT might be his best friend, and they shake hands. And QT says thanks, and that's all he's ever wanted. That was boring as hell to recap.
I could tell in your tone you were enjoying that.
I was just like, oh my god.
I liked what QT was saying, but I find his delivery is not good, and I just have trouble caring about him in general. Again, I don't understand how Cody's a babyface. The story here is that QT Marshall is basically an errand boy for Cody, and that it almost sounds like he feels he's being used by Cody just to do all kinds of work for the company. And Cody is so condescending. I don't understand how this is babyface. Like, this is supposed to be endearing behavior. My sort of translation, and again, I'm biased because it's going through the Cody filter I have, right, is that he's basically saying, listen, man, you were just a lowly employee and I was a superstar, but you proved yourself to me and now we're friends, but I'm way better than you. And isn't it adorable that you want to match against me? I promise I'll go easy on you to give you a chance. And by the way, I'm a babyface. Like, no, you're not. He's a jerk here, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, man, but this guy is just coming out going... QT's trying to say, like, I don't feel like I'm your friend. I feel like I'm basically a servant. And he's like, oh, I basically picked you up from nothing and made you something. But all in just sort of subtle language that, I don't know, man. He's not a baby face, but I don't really care anyways, so.
Yeah, I think you made a great point. I don't really like this either. I think QT Marshall is like...
I think he has a point, but I just don't... He's not interesting, and he doesn't talk well, so I'm out. Kinda.
Yeah, and I think Cody is playing the wrong character here.
He is.
Maybe this is not good.
And I keep saying, right, maybe this is going to lead to his heel turn, and it just never happens. Everything he does to me looks like this is a preface to a heel turn, and it never is. But anyways, carry on.
So next we get a Penta, Phoenix, and Laredo Kid promo. Laredo Kid's back.
Yeah.
So they basically did a promo with the Spanish announcer guy.
Who's awesome.
Yeah, translating some of the promo. And so basically Pac is out, so Laredo Kid's back. Woo! Bucks are the AEW Tag Team Champions that were joined by best friend Brandon Cutler.
Yeah.
Who doesn't win matches, so you know he's here.
You'd wonder why he's included, eh?
Right.
I wonder what could happen.
Because he's the Bucks' friend.
Right.
I honestly wish they could have picked anyone else.
It's okay.
Anyways, so we get Laredo Kid and the Lucha Bros. Hell yeah, it's the Lucha Bros.
Nice.
Screw you, Pac. They're the tag team of the Death Triangle.
Easy. Be nice to Pac.
He's a single star. These guys are the tag team of the Death Triangle until Penta inevitably eclipses Phoenix and goes on a main event tear.
Okay. Penta's #1 fan over there.
Woo! So Nick and Phoenix start the match, which is very smart.
They should just wrestle forever.
Yeah, I remember they had that great one-on-one like a while back.
They're just awesome together.
Yeah. I think, never mind. Holds and counters, to start, stalemate, and they kind of go both for a dropkick and then a double clothesline connects, and then they both kip up, and they kind of stare at each other like,
yep.
What? And then, Penta and Matt tag in, they're super kick by Penta, crucifix, pin for 2 by Penta. Penta gets a rope break to avoid a sharpshooter, and then there's kind of like another stare off. They're like, and then Cutler and
he's staring at me. People, you can't see it.
And Laredo Kid tag in. So it's basically like, wow, we're like so similar and both very good. Mm-hmm. Tag, wow, we're both similar and very good. Exactly. And then Cutler and Laredo Kid would tag in, and what I would say is, wow, Laredo Kid's very good.
He is pretty good, I think, yeah. I haven't seen a ton of them.
Soul Kick by, I literally wrote LK because I'm not writing Laredo Kid every time.
Fair.
Jesus Takedown by Laredo Kid. Double Team 2 Laredo Kid by the Bucks. It's way easier to say. Double Arm Drag by Phoenix, like a double arm drag thingy. Rope Step Tope Con Hilo by Penta.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Springboard Forearm by Cutlet.
Nice. The Cutlet Forearm.
Cutler to Phoenix, and then a springboard swanton to the Lucha Bros on the outside. A moonsault to Matt Jackson and Cutler by Laredo Kid. So Matt Jackson tags in. A sliced bread powerbomb by the
combo. Yeah, that was
Bucks
nice.
For 2. Nick and Penta they tag in post commercial break. Sling Blades by Penta. 2, I think. Yes. Phoenix tags in. Stereo super kicks to the Bucks by Lucha Bros. And Phoenix hits a splash off of Penta's shoulders for 2. The pin is broken. Hurricanrana by Laredo Kid. Diving foot stomp by, like, kind of a Hurricanrana off the ropes, Frankensteiner kind of deal. Diving foot stomp by Penta and a swanton bomb for 2 by Phoenix. So just a barrage of offense there. We get, like, a great back and forth strike sequence and whatnot from Nick and Ray Phoenix.
Yes, fantastic
which
sequence.
Is awesome. So Laredo Kid and Matt Jackson tag in. There's kind of like the thing where like you're rapidly punching each other at the same time.
Right.
That kind of deal. Northern Light suplexes by Matt on Laredo Kid, and then Penta comes in for the double Northern Light suplex. Buckle Bomb Damagiri by the Bucks. Nick tags in. They hit the Risky Business double splash thingy.
Mm-hmm.
Cutler tags in, hits a springboard elbow drop, and Matt holds Penta on the outside for Nick Jackson's swanton bomb. That looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, where he was sort of like
kind of like drapes
stretching him out. Yeah, that did look good.
Those always look cool. Cutler pops up Nick to hit the Indie Taker because Matt's got whoever in the tombstone position. Right. Nick dives onto Penta on the outside, and Matt takes out Phoenix with an apron DDT. And Phoenix awesome. Sold like
Phoenix
a champ.
Sold it like crazy.
And then an avalanche Spanish Fly kind of just all of a sudden on Cutler by Laredo Kid for the win. So LK, Laredo Kid, and the Lucha Bros get the win. So Omega comes out to attack and beat the crap out of Laredo Kid.
Right.
And so basically, you recall it's the first Fyter Fest, which was Laredo Kid's only other AEW match, which I think was also with the Lucha Bros.
Right.
So I find that kind of funny. I think it was against Omega and the Young Bucks, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right.
Omega said 3 years ago they had a choice. It was friendship, and he pointed out Matt's family in the crowd. Omega said 3 years ago he had a choice. He didn't stay where he was. He didn't go to greener pastures in New York. And then he chose AEW. He said he didn't choose AEW, he chose the Young Bucks and the vision they had created to make this the best wrestling promotion on the planet. I think they've pretty much succeeded so far.
I agree.
Instead of choosing the cool kids, they chose Brandon Cutler.
Ouch. Cut to Brandon Cutler sobbing
really
in the corner.
Funny. Yeah, that was really funny. Omega said that he will give the Young Bucks one more chance, and he held up the Too Sweet hand gesture from 25 years ago, and he wanted to give them one last chance. Omega said it was their last chance, so the Young Bucks and Cutler leave. Omega told Cutler to be their cameraman and carry their gear bags, and he turns around and gets like kind of almost the mic super kicked into his face by the Lucha Bros, and Penta and Phoenix hit their double foot stomp pile driver finisher, which I'm glad that's back because that looks awesome. I love how Phoenix is able to kind of use his butt as a springboard, and like he still lands on his feet at the end.
He does.
And so Carl Anderson and Doc Ellis come out, and Omega's bleeding from the mouth.
He is. The match I really enjoyed, but I don't think everybody will, because you kind of have to be okay with refs having zero control here. They're not counting anybody out ever. They're not enforcing legal men or anything really. It must have been fun for you trying to take notes and figure out who is legal, because it's really hard to tell. Mm-hmm. But I can separate myself from that and not really care. Not if it's every match all the time. Because you'll see people call this like indie-rific, right? Because it's high spot, high spot, high spot. The ref has no ability to keep any sort of order in the match. But for me, it's just really fast, really fun, all kinds of cool moves. Laredo Kid looked pretty good. Cutler looked all right in some spots as well, but we knew what he was there to do, sort of, which was get pinned. but it was really the other 4 that killed it in this match. Anything involving Phoenix and Nick Jackson is a highlight for me.
Yeah, that was a great sequence.
And a second match on this show that I enjoyed a lot compared to anything from Fastlane. So I thought this was another pretty strong match, but I know this won't be for everybody.
I thought it was a great, just kind of wild multi-man tag. I thought the best part was Nick and Phoenix.
Me too.
And I thought there was a great little end.
Yep.
To the match with like everyone, like kind of the Bucks took out Lucha Bros and then Laredo Kid, just picks up the win, which is weird because you would think, oh, the Bucks would go going after them, so like Cutler would take out Laredo Kid, but he did not. But I thought the match was really good. I liked them beating up Omega after.
Yeah, the segment I thought was good too. So like another strong segment tonight.
Seems
really
to
good.
Be
the trend.
From Strength to Jade Cargill, we got a promo package for her. She reminds Red Velvet of her win in the tag match. She trash talks a bunch and said she's better than Velvet, and she says she's money, and she looks good doing it.
I thought she did okay here, right?
She's fine.
She's a rookie. She already sounds better than like QT Marshall, for example, and some other people. Is she amazing? No. Is she really good considering her level of experience? I would say yes. So I had no problem with this either. You?
Yeah, it was fine. I'm not a huge fan of her. I don't really love like these kind of crossover athletes. I'm never like a huge fan of that.
Kurt Angle, baby.
Yeah, but that's like he was already wrestling.
I guess so.
And even Ronda Rousey, yeah, she wasn't my favorite, but she got better. And then also MMA has, you can argue, is some cadence to WWE or like in like wrestling. Like Shayna Baszler's awesome.
Right, but, she is.
Jade Cargill's whatever. She's fine. I'm not gonna say she's bad.
For the amount she's done, this was totally fine. I thought.
Yeah, it was fine. Next we got a good promo.
Cody and Brandy's next, man.
Oh, I didn't cover that because it was dumb.
So
I specifically told you I was not going to cover.
So this. All I put, because it's Cody and Brandy, Cody and Brandy assume that everyone wants to watch what they do.
Yeah, basically they revealed they got their own version of Miz and Maurice and Miz and Mrs., right? So they got roads to the top.
So because they're narcissists, they assume that we want to watch them 24 hours a day. So this is very on brand for them, very much like attention paid to them. The clips shown that they showed don't even make it feel real at all. And obviously it isn't because no reality show is actually reality. But you would think that they could choose clips that sort of felt real, but the ones they showed felt like staged and contrived and cheesy to me.
Like, it's like, I don't know, like they're in the kitchen or whatever, like in the car with Pharaoh, that's the dog's name, right? And like, it's just like the classic things where like a camera can easily be set up. It's like, I agree, like it just doesn't feel authentic at all.
So here's my fear. Remember a while ago AEW said like they've got an extra hour of network television coming? This better not be it, man.
Oh my god.
Right? Because I'm expecting,
we're gonna
get a cool 1 hour show.
It's on TNT.
Right.
Oh my god.
So sorry to blow your mind in not a great way, but I will be very, because it goes from my favorite wrestling company.
That makes perfect sense.
Right? It would go from my favorite wrestling company having another hour of wrestling that I'm excited to watch to this crap
we get Ms.
that
I'll
never
too.
See. So I hope not. But anyways.
Oh my god. Wow, yeah.
Okay, move on to the better promo.
Sorry, it's perfect timing too, because I think they'll probably be talking about, like they showed Cody from Double or Nothing, like the first pay-per-view, right? So there'll be older stuff, but they are like,
yeah, I know. I'm not happy.
They're currently having a child, or like they're going to have a child. So the timing
might keep Cody off TV.
It's coincidental, right? Probably. That they're having a child, and they got a show coming out. Like
it's gonna be great.
Really coincidental. I swear, this is their hour of TNT. I will hate everything Cody does forever.
But Cody going, hey, you know what will get amazing ratings? My life being documented. That feels very Cody Rhodes to me.
Yeah, honestly, it's just like so stupid.
Anyways, we spent too much time talking about it.
Yeah,
move on to Kenny and Eddie in a trailer.
If this is the TNT show, I'm just I don't
disappointment.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do. So we get Kingston and Jon Moxley promo. Jon Moxley is shown standing with Eddie Kingston, who's got a cast on his left leg after the last week.
Is that a work or a shoot, as they say? Do you know?
I think it's a work.
Me too, but I hadn't heard anything.
He says he has a broken something. Moxley wonders how far the Good Brothers are willing to take this, and Moxley says he doesn't know the Young Bucks, he doesn't like the Young Bucks, but he guesses they owe the Bucks because after last week
they helped him out, yeah.
Moxley says that the Bucks are in the game. They better be willing to get their hands dirty.
I like that Mox doesn't really like anyone, right? And then if he's gonna cooperate with them, it's like a temporary, like, I'll tolerate you for a little bit. It's
right, or like it's like for a reason.
It's like that Steve Austin-y kind of thing, right? Where although he's got Kingston as his buddy right now, but I like that. These two have undeniable chemistry, and they sort of, for me so far, are really able to balance like humor and serious. They can kind of go back and forth with intensity as well. So I thought this was another solid segment, and I liked Mox's like subtle threatening tone at the end was working for me.
Mm-hmm. Next we got Nyla Rose versus Ty, I guess.
Yep, Ty Conti,
even though it says Tay.
Didn't know what to expect with this match.
Ty Conti. So they both have no Trons for some reason, which I thought might be a technical difficulty.
Right.
Like it just still says the AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
Nameplate still says Vicious Vixens.
Vicious Vixens, buddy. I'm going to get you a Vicious Vixens t-shirt for your birthday this summer, and you're going to have to wear it.
I'm honestly might, because that'd be really funny.
Just for irony's sake?
We should put like a Vicious Vixens poster somewhere just
Build
for the
a shrine
gag.
to the Vicious Vixens?
We should have like in the corner where the Bowflex is or whatever, we should just have like inside joke kind of things. Like we'd have like Vicious Vixens. We should find like
your wall of fame,
a Roads to the Top poster or something.
Please. Except we'd be giving them money.
Or so like, no. Oh yeah, true. But I don't know. Or then you buy it from like a third party thing.
Fair
but
enough.
Like I don't know. I just think it'd be funny if like you just have like gag posters. Like
it would.
You know. So some Dark Order dudes salute Conti before the match. Rose.
I was saying like she's kind of like the female Paige, right? That they're supporters of her, but she's not an actual member.
Except Hangman Page is
obviously.
Awesome.
I'm just saying in terms of the relationship.
Rose hits a body slam, and then Conti traps Rose on the mouth and armbar. Conti hits 3 judo throws, tossing Rose across the ring. But then Rose comes back with a spine buster for 2. Conti tries a roll up, and Rose breaks free at the clothesline, along with the suplex onto the top rope. Rose goes up top and hits the knee to the back of the head for a 2 count, and then we go into a commercial break. Just quick sec. Once again, thanks to the John Report for using them for this. I think the main event, just because I wanted to watch that.
Yep.
And then also the promo.
Yeah, we borrow
notes.
and modify some notes.
So thanks to him, I guess.
Yeah, if he ever hears us.
Right.
Thanks, John.
Yes, thank you. So the show returns with Rose hitting a sidewalk slam, and then Conti gets the knees up to block a flipping running senton.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. Conti hits an impressive knee strike, and the second running knee rocks Rose. Nyla comes back with a back body drop. Conti has Rose set up against the ropes, with Conti hitting a jumping knee off the turnbuckle for a 2 count. Conti hits a pump kick, but Rose comes back with a clothesline for 2. Rose counters a sunset flip by sitting on top of Conti, and Conti hits a kick to the head, followed by a running knee and another running knee, and then she hits her version of a hammerlock DDT, which is called the DD tie, for the pinfall win.
I was surprised by the outcome, and man, I thought Conti looked really good here. Her knee strikes and her kicks looked really good. I thought Nyla's gotten better too, but Conti really stood out to me here, way better than I've seen her. Nyla looked really tired in a couple spots, but other than that, I thought she did well too. I was pleasantly surprised by the match. I was a little surprised at how I thought commentary would make it a bigger deal. Like I thought it was a pretty big deal that Nyla got like straight up pinned clean in the middle of the ring, but a pretty good match I thought, and Tay Conti looked almost awesome here. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little match. I thought it could have been better because I agree. I think Rose looked a little tired and she didn't do much. I think she's improved, but she's still not the best.
I think she's getting better. I
have
time for her matches now.
I thought Conti Rose looked really good here. Or Conti Rose?
Conti Rose.
Conti looked really good here, I thought. And yeah, it was a nice little match. Apparently it was only like 9 minutes.
Yeah, and I like knee strikes and stuff, so I don't know. Anyone that can execute good knees, I'm gonna like.
But good for her.
Yep.
Arcade Anarchy package, which is going to be the name for the arcade machine themed tag match between Miro, Sabian, and Cassidy and Chucky T.
Right.
And they basically just talk about.
Wait, did you miss the whole part after the match?
Did I? Is there one?
When Tay celebrates, Vicky grabs her leg.
I did.
Sheeta comes out.
I didn't have that in my notes for some reason.
Okay, so what was it? Conti's celebrating the win. Vicky kind of grabs her leg and holds her still so that Nyla's able to grab her as well. Tries to get her up for the power bomb. Shida comes out. She has a kendo stick. She hits Nyla with it.
Allie.
And then Bunny comes out, right?
Allie.
With a kendo stick. She hits Shida and then hits Tay Conti.
Because Dark Order, Matt Hardy,
right.
No Likey.
Right, that's right. So Bunny attacks Shida again, then chokes Tay in the corner. And then sort of you have Hardy, Butcher, and the Blade are watching on, and Bunny is laughing, pointing at Tay Conti. And Matt Hardy says that the women's Eliminator title tournament was terrible and a sham because Bunny wasn't in it, that his client was overlooked, and that's not happening anymore. So I guess this is us getting Bunny to start wrestling, which is good, right? Because she's not bad.
She's wrestled a bit.
She's
Remember
just kind of been,
Sisters?
yeah. But I think this is saying she's actually going to have a match with Conti, right? And this is.
I think she should be Allie, but.
Well, she's not, so I'm going to call her Bunny. But yeah, so I don't know. She's not a bad wrestler, so I mean, she's there anyways. She may as well wrestle, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So the arcade package is just basically them hyping the match. It could be interesting. It is kind of weird, but I'm going to trust them because I think. In the past they've really excelled at these types of no holds barred tag matches. So
I just said it was a decent package, extending a feud I want over, but a match that I'm kind of interested in.
Right. So next week we got Shida and Conti versus Bunny and Rose.
Yeah.
So there's that.
There's coming right after that.
Ooh, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid.
Yeah.
I like that, except for Gallows.
Obviously.
But I mean, that what are you?
That could be fun.
I wish it was like a makeshift Omega Bucks.
Well, yeah.
Just a.
Anytime.
Just a Fighter Fest rematch. That'd be nice. But anyways, that still looks good. Like as long as Gallows isn't too, Gallows. Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in an exhibition with Arn Anderson as the ref, and Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian.
Right.
Scorpio Sky promo. He talks about how everybody has to stop pretending he's uniquely gifted. Sky said his days of being underrated are over, and he talked about his upcoming elevation match with Mike Sydal on Dark Elevation, and how he's going to be the face of the Revolution. Or he is the face of the Revolution.
He had a line in there where he said that humility only gives people a reason to underrate you, which I thought was a cool line. I think he's doing a really good job in these promos. They feel kind of realistic to me because it would make sense if he actually does feel this way. His character's never been really developed on AEW at all, right? He was just kind of always part of SCU, and that was about it. I think
he could benefit from one of those like character-focused things that they do on Elevation.
Yeah, and I think that they're doing a good job of sort of shaping his new character. I like this, actually.
All right, so main event time.
Mm-hmm.
Darby Allin, John Silver.
With the Dark Order.
Yes, TNT title match.
Yes.
Allin starts with a leg trip and into an armbar after some brief holds and counters, and then a side headlock. After Allin has Silver grounded for about a minute, Silver then runs with like a running attack kind of thingy that knocks Allin out of the ring.
It might have been an uppercut. It might have been a shoulder tackle. Right. It was hard to tell. It was so fast, but big impact.
Back in the ring, Silver tosses Allin across the ring, which is just amazing. Because, like...
Oh, that Beal, he just threw him.
Yeah. And then Silver launches Allin across the ring with a landing against the turnbuckle. Silver sends Allin into the turnbuckle, then a running knee and a brainbuster for 2.
Awesome sequence.
Match returns from a commercial break. With Silver in control of Allin on the floor. Silver whips Allin into the turnbuckle. Silver charges and Allin tosses Silver over the barricade. So I think there's that.
Yeah, he landed really hard. Right. Because Silver's so fast, right? And he didn't seem to slow down at all coming into a metal barricade, and he kind of went over it and looked like he landed awkward. And he was selling his shoulder after that.
The referee was doing a pretty slow 10 count, but understandably so.
Yeah, of course.
And Allin hits a suicide dive onto Allin Angels after Silver moves out of the way.
Yeah, well, Angels shoved him out of the way.
Well, yeah.
To sacrifice himself, which I thought was cool.
And then Silver hits a German suplex on the floor.
Yeah.
And Sting shows up with a baseball bat, and John Report wrote, like a father looking after his son, which I thought was really funny.
And remember, the match started, and I said,
I thought a grandpa looking after his grandson.
My only hope is that Sting is not involved, because then it means like Darby's getting away from him and can be cool again. So I was disappointed by this as well.
Yeah, it's like the Dark Order's like, oh, it's like, has Sting not watched AEW? Should he not know that Dark Order aren't going to do anything? But whatever. Silver hits multiple kicks to the body. Allen gets a cradle pin for 2. And then Allen goes over the top, like, for the Stun Dog Millionaire. Silver counters with the choke submission, though, and Allen gets out. Allen counters the submission and then into a pin attempt. It's the choke, the Queen Slayer.
Right.
Because that's what... Anna Jay.
Right.
Isn't she injured?
Yes, she is. She's had shoulder surgery. She's out for a long time.
Silver with a lifting spinning DDT for 2, which is kind of cool.
Very cool.
Kind of like a standing, not tornado
kind of like
DDT,
an impaler, but also spinning, kind of.
Right.
Yeah, it was cool.
Allen is on the floor, and Sting stands nearby to prevent Dark Order guys from getting involved, because, I mean, they got a bunch of people, and
Sting with one battle hold off 30, 40, 50 guys, probably, if you had to.
That's a little under, I would say 70 at least. Back in the ring, Silver works over Allen with kicks to the chest, and Allen comes back with palm strikes and punches. Allen went for a victory roll pin with Silver countered and sat on top for 2. Allen jumps off the middle rope with like a back, like coffin drop thingy thing. And then Silver kicks Allen across the ring. Allen goes up top, but he manages to just suplex Silver on the mat, and he just coffin drops onto the Dark Order.
Yeah, on the outside, from the top to the outside.
Right. Allen is up top again, with Silver kicking him in the head. Silver had Allen on his shoulders and did like a spinning slam, and it was kind of like a
Blue Thunder Bomb released.
Blue Thunder out of the kind of like a released Blue Thunder Bomb out of the torch rack position.
It looked awesome.
And Silver's cover had Allen's foot on the bottom rope, and Allen counters the powerbomb into a code red sunset flip thingy for the pinfall win.
Yeah.
And so Matt Hardy attacks Allen, which erupts into a massive brawl with the Matt Hardy family office and Dark Order to end the show.
I thought it was a very good main event, especially if you consider that Silver suffered a pretty significant injury, right? That's going to keep him out for a month and a half. So really cool offense. Silver, his kicks look amazing to me, his speed and his offense. And like I've been saying about Allen, right? Like if you have cool offense, which Silver does, then you need to face Darby Allin.
Yeah, I think John Silver really benefited from that.
Because he's going to sell the heck out of everything, right? Darby didn't...
I find it funny that, or Silver's smaller, and he's like the powerhouse of this match.
Yeah, he is. Darby didn't get a ton of offense in, and that's kind of his thing in matches, right? But at some point, I'd like to see him get like more back and forth, evenly contested match, because his thing right now is like just get killed most like 80% of the time, but then win. So I'd love to see a little bit of variation in that formula, but it's still working for me for the most part. But I thought a really good match. Not as good as the opener, but a good main event nonetheless.
So I thought this was a great main event. I think Silver looked awesome, and I hope Darby then defends against Grayson or 10 or someone else, because they need to improve his title run. I think this is a big step in the right direction, however. There were some great moves and sequences, a couple good near falls, and if there's ever like a cruiserweight or like a junior/light heavyweight title division, I think Silver is a no-brainer.
And Allen.
For that. Yeah.
They're both small.
I think there are other people before Silver who should be TNT champions, so that's why I would say that rather than this, because I think it's like he's not quite there yet.
I would agree. He could be.
But overall, I love the match. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For me, the show was really good. I thought the opener was awesome, and I think was my match of the night.
Me too.
Hangman and the Pinnacle both got some good squash matches. I thought the 6-man tag with the Lucha was and the Laredo Kid and the Bucks and Cutler was great. I thought it was pretty good. Conti and Rosa, a nice little match that might be better on a show that didn't have 3 better matches. I think. There were some good promos throughout, like Baker, MJF after the Pinnacle match, Scorpio Sky, and of course Mox and Kingston was probably one of my favorites with Baker. QT Marshall was a bit of a downside, but I thought we capped off the show with a great main event, and I would give the show maybe an A-, because I can't think of anything that was like really bad.
It was a good show. I thought this was a fantastic episode of Dynamite. One of my favorites, probably top to bottom.
Yeah, it was really good.
I can't think of anything that I would be super critical of.
That's why I was kind of
like the Cody segment, whatever. But I'm never gonna like much Cody does other than wrestle, right? So that's kind of on me, probably. Awesome opener, awesome 6-man tag, strong women's match, good main event. Benoni Page was probably the worst in-ring segment, and it was totally acceptable short enhancement match. Right. All the segments were good, I thought. Like, Britt's promo was good. The Pinnacle stuff was good. I was annoyed by Cody's promo, but again, that's just me. I'm biased pretty much against anything he does outside of a ring. I pretty much love this show, and I gave it an A, and I almost contemplated an A+, which I don't know. I think I've only done one other time with AEW. I can't remember which episode specifically, but I know I did love, and we generally really like this product, right? But I thought this was a very, very strong episode, and I gave it an A, so that's big for us to both be in the A range. So good job, Dynamite.
Yeah, it was a really good episode.
All right. Well, that brings us to a little pause in our Wednesday night reviews, and we'll take a little detour into the world of trivia, and it's a segment called Off the Top of His Head.
Woo!
So as we approach WrestleMania, I thought we'd try some WrestleMania trivia. I don't know if we've done that in the past or not.
I don't know.
And I'm not willing. I'm not willing to go check through 36 episodes. So even if it did, who cares? Because it's stuff you would either know or don't know anyways, right? So Sportskeeda was the source for this, and I might be able to make it last a couple weeks again. So I feel like some of these are really hard and some of them are easy. So let's, probably for you, not many are hard, but I think I've got a few that are going to stump you because it's some minutia, like details.
Minutia.
Okay? Who came up with the name WrestleMania?
Vince McMahon?
Stumped off to the first one. No.
Pat Patterson?
Nope.
Joe Briscoe?
Think of ring announcers.
Howard Finkel?
Correct. And fun fact, it was inspired by the term Beatlemania, because when the Beatles came over to North America and people went crazy, like I'm talking hundreds, thousands, whatever, of women crying and like passing out because they were so excited. So it's called Beatlemania. So he was like, why can't we have a WrestleMania? And boom, there you go.
It is a good name, I will say.
Right? Which WrestleMania was the only one not to have a men's WWF or E championship match? So basically the main...
WrestleMania 1.
Correct. Good.
Yeah, because the main event was... Hogan was the champ, but he was in the tag match with Mr. T.
Right. Which apparently I was reading in this same article, I don't think I put a question on it, that Mr. T had a ton of heat backstage. The classic, like, you're getting a spot in the main event and you don't wrestle sort of thing. That classic, which I understand.
Yeah.
How many venues hosted WrestleMania 2?
3.
And do you know what they were? I feel like this has come up
before. One of them,
before.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, California. 3 was the answer. I just was curious.
Georgia?
New York and Illinois.
Oh.
So Uniondale, New York, and Rosemont.
I think one of the Starcades did the same thing.
Nice. Yeah, they did, actually. I remember it. Which WrestleMania was the only one not to be held on a Sunday? It was held on a Monday.
Oh, I know.
This is what I mean. Like, I would never know this.
WrestleMania 2000?
No, WrestleMania 2, apparently. Was
on
a
yeah,
Monday.
It was that. Oh, I remember. I think we did that one. I don't know. I don't remember.
This one, if you know this, it's just next level. Which state, was denied pay-per-view access to WrestleMania 3? And I can give you a hint if you want.
Sure.
Where was it hosted? That hint might not help you.
I forgot. I don't know.
That's hard. So it's Michigan, and the reason was because it was being held in the Pontiac Silverdome, which is like a huge facility. So they wanted to try and make sure it was full. So they basically denied anybody in that state, like, you can't watch it on TV, trying to force them to go to the stadium.
Oh,
sneaky, right?
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and it's a very WWE thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Force you to go.
They gotta make it look right.
Yep, make it full.
Force you to spend money.
Like Vince's nightmare would be that he books this humongous facility and it's like half full, right? So he would do whatever he could to get it full. Who holds, I think this you'll know, who holds the record for most matches in a single night at a Mania?
Randy Savage.
Correct. How many matches?
4.
Do you know any more details?
He beat Ted DiBiase in the last one.
Who else did he beat? I actually copied all this down.
Let me think.
DiBiase was the biggest star that he beat that night. One really, really huge guy who changed to a really lame gimmick later. One guy who was a one-man gang. One guy who was more of a tag team specialist in rhythm and blues.
Greg Valentine.
Correct. And the natural.
Dustin Rhodes.
No. Butch Reed.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Which WrestleMania was the first to be held outside of the United States? I think you'll know this. And where was it held, if you know? First one outside
WrestleMania
of
9?
No. Before that.
WrestleMania 6.
Right, because where was it?
Skydome.
Right, I was like, how do you not know this one?
I forgot. I do know that, I just forgot.
Which WrestleMania was the first WWE event to be held outdoors? And you may have just made reference to it.
WrestleMania 9.
Correct. It was in Nevada.
Yeah, and it had like the Roman theme or like the togas or whatever.
Yes, exactly. For you to know this off the top of your head would be surprising, but you might. How many of the first 13 WrestleMania events had no women's matches? So out of the first 13,
7.
9. You were close. Told you, these are details. Which WrestleMania was the first to have 2 women's matches on the card?
5.
Nope.
4.
You're just guessing?
6.
20. Sable and Tori Wilson versus Jackie and Stacy Keibler in an evening gown match.
Oh my
And Victoria
God.
and Molly Holly in a hair versus
there you
title.
Go. Okay.
What is the most recent Mania to not feature a women's match? You don't have to. You have to go back a little bit.
WrestleMania 30.
Very close.
WrestleMania 29.
Correct. Which female competitors had the longest women's match at WrestleMania? And it was. I'll give you a hint. It was a triple threat.
Lynch, Charlotte, Rousey.
No.
Lynch, Charlotte, or Sasha.
Correct. At WrestleMania 32.
Yes, that was my first WrestleMania.
Which woman holds the record for most Mania matches? Now, this was done in 2019, so I hope it's still right.
Charlotte?
Not according to this.
Sasha?
Nope.
Bailey.
Trish Stratus.
I was going to say Trish Stratus. God damn it.
This one's hard this week. I like it. Which 2 stars have been in the final match at WrestleMania the most? So I didn't want to say main event, right? But the last match. 2 guys tied.
Hogan and Cena.
Hogan and?
Triple H.
Think more current.
Triple H. John Cena.
Who's this year?
Edge.
And?
Roman Reigns.
Correct. Hulk Hogan and Roman Reigns with 4 as of 2019.
4 is the most, really?
This one you know for sure. Who holds the record for most consecutive wins at Mania?
Undertaker.
How many?
21.
Correct.
21.
Who holds the record? I feel like this one's come up before. For most losses, consecutive losses at WrestleMania.
Shawn Michaels?
No.
Triple H.
Think face paint.
Jeff Hardy. Goldust.
Correct.
Goldust?
Yep, 10.
Goldust.
Which last one? Which non-wrestler appeared at every WrestleMania until 2016?
Howard Finkel.
Correct. I was going to say his name's come up already today. Good job. So what'd you think of those? Should we do another week of them?
Sure. If you
Some
want.
of them are hard, right? Like there's such a tiny detail, or
so, like you expect me to know this,
or like stuff you don't generally care about, like matches and who fought who, but not like how many of the 13 didn't have women's matches or whatever. It was
right.
crazy. Anyway, still a good job. And then we'll switch back to the Wednesday Night Wars and look at the second half of it, which for us is our NXT review. We start out with a recap of the tag title match from last week, culminating in Cross taking out Balor after the match with the forearm to the back of the head. Cole is then shown just video, no audio, signing into the building and entering as commentary. Welcome us to the show. And right away, we're going into a match with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez already in the ring, ? Versus Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. So a little surprised to see Kai and Gonzalez in the ring already, right? Wasn't a big fan of that because I love them. And
I love Kai's theme, even though they don't use it because they're dum-dums.
So just a note, like Io's entrance is amazing. Like this is just a superstar entrance she
Stark
has.
enters and then you can see her. She's waiting for Io. I'm like, yeah, you wait for Io. It
was a tough act to follow for Stark, right?
Or more to proceed.
Yes. So
proceed.
If she went first, yeah.
Yeah.
So Gonzalez and Stark start out, and Gonzalez overpowers and taunts Stark before applying an armbar. Stark takes control of the match for a little bit before Gonzalez hits a big clothesline and tags in Dakota Kai. Stark slaps Kai and hits a Thez press pretty much right away. Io then comes in and she repeatedly chops Dakota. We get Matrix and a running basement drop kick and a kip up immediately by Io.
I thought that was going to be by Stark, because I honestly don't remember exactly. Just sounds like something Stark would do, you know?
It probably would too. Io stops to yell at Gonzalez, which I thought was cool, and then Kai attempts a couple quick pinfalls because Io was momentarily distracted. Stark is back in with a sliding low clothesline for a 2 count, head scissor takedown, and a big knee strike by Stark. Stark is then caught by Gonzalez and thrown into the head kick from Kai. I think it's the one where Gonzalez has her like in a fireman's carry, and then tosses her and Kai
Girl
kicks her
press,
in the head.
I think it was.
Oh, was it? Yeah. It looks
or
awesome.
something like that. Yeah, I know you're talking about that.
A bit later, Io Shirai takes out both.
Assisted like GTK?
Yes.
Or detonation kick or whatever.
Yes. Shirai takes out both heels, leading to running knees for both of them. Missile drop kick by Io and a springboard drop kick by Stark to Io. Crossbody by Stark to Gonzalez on the floor before she runs Kai into the ring post and avoids a charging Gonzalez who hits the ring post as well. So both of the heels taken into ring post now. This allows Io to hit a top rope moonsault to Gonzalez, who's still out on the floor. Stark misses a 450, which is just impressive that she's even attempting it, which is pretty cool. Gonzalez catches her knee, an attempt. So basically, Stark's trying to hit a running knee. Gonzalez catches her, picks her up, hits her one-arm power bomb, but can't quite make the cover. So she picks Stark back up for another one within this power bomb grip. Io has now climbed up onto the apron. So while holding Zoe Stark basically with one arm for a power bomb, she somehow walks over and kicks Io off of the apron and then slams Stark and pins her for the win. A really impressive show of power there at the end of this match. After the match, Io hits Kai with a forearm, turns around and eats a boot from Gonzalez, who follows Io outside and uses her finisher sort of to slam Io onto the announce table to end this segment. What did you think of this, sir?
I thought it was a decent opener. Obviously, you contrast that to AEW, and I don't think it's a fair comparison.
No, it wasn't to that level, but
it was good. I agree, the power move by Gonzalez at the end. It'll just like boot off Shirai while holding on to Stark, and
Stark keeps looking good, right?
Yeah.
I really like this match. I think Stark looks
good.
She looks great again. I've heard some other people are critical because she keeps losing, but I don't think it's hurting her. She's a brand new talent to this company. She's looking awesome in all these high-profile matches with bigger stars than herself, and she's having really good showings, and it doesn't bother me that she's not winning at this point. Gonzalez looked really strong as well during and after the match. I thought the pace to this match was really good. There was no lulls. It just kind of moved the whole time. Mm-hmm. I guess if I were going to complain, Kai felt like she didn't get a ton of offense in, and I really like her, but it's kind of nitpicking. I thought this was a good opener.
Mm-hmm.
We then get footage from earlier with Cole attacking O'Reilly.
I thought this was from last week. I'm not saying anything about that. I just don't know when it's from.
It was a training facility somewhere, like a dojo, and Cole just attacks O'Reilly, basically, and he's dragged out yelling that he will end Kyle. It was nothing really. I mean, just
kind of
furthering that they just want to get at each other, right? And it's going to be hard to sort of contain them until WrestleMania week, sort of thing, I think is the idea.
Right.
So it was fine. We then see Kyle is speaking to Mackenzie as Roderick Strong sort of approaches to suggest that he and Kyle could work together to kick Cole's butt for what he's done to them. And Kyle basically says that this doesn't involve Strong. He kind of wants nothing to do with Strong at this point. So Strong walks away annoyed. And I thought this was fine too, right? Like O'Reilly's just kind of doing the lone wolf. He doesn't really trust anyone right now. His whatever best friend in the world is now turned on him. So you can understand why he's a little reluctant to not fully trust Roddy at this point. So I thought it made sense. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think Roddy was like, what do you say? Like they're both dead to him or something?
Yeah, basically. Like yes, he did when he walked off. You're right. He said that Adam and Kyle are dead to him.
I thought it was fine. It was pretty short. Nothing.
No, it was really quick hit. Yeah. Then another quick hitter. LA Knight tells us we're about to find out that it's his night as his match is coming up next. Just quickly before I think it was a commercial break.
His night.
Right.
LOL.
It's even yeah, exactly. Good pun. Then we have Jordan Devlin. He's talking about his upcoming match with Kushida. He rhymes off many of what we are to believe Kushida's accomplishments, right? And then he sort of reveals to us
against Kushida,
right? That he's talking about himself. I liked it too.
That was a funny burn.
Again, it was a really short promo, but I thought he sounded good. And I'm hoping. I think it was smart because I don't think everybody knows who he is, right? Not everybody watches NXT UK or has seen the cruiserweight stuff. So it's sort of a way for him as a heel to tell you about all the things he's done, right? So I
find it interesting. We've got this heel on heel match coming up. But
yeah, you're right. So we'll see where that goes.
It could work.
Yeah, I like this little spot by Devlin here. We then have LA Knight's in-ring debut, right?
No, that was last.
Or sorry, it's his first kind of.
He's against
legit opponent, I guess.
He's
quote
against
unquote.
Bronson Reed.
Right. So Bronson Reed versus LA Knight. So Knight pokes Reed's forehead, and then he's sort of like taunting him a little bit, and Reed slaps him. We get a back body drop by Reed, followed by a power slam a long chin lock early in the match by Reed that I was not a fan of. Back elbow, headbutt, elbow strike long by Reed. Lock. Back to the mat with more holds from Reed. Knight finally shifts the momentum by snapping Reed across the top rope before, bless you, hitting a slingshot, shoulder tackle, and some stomps. We get a commercial break, and when we come back, Knight has now gotten the arm of Bronson Reed. Repeated corner spears by Knight and a drop kick to Reed's knee. We get a kick to Reed's face and a choke in the ropes by Knight. Kick, punch, uppercut combo by Knight. Neck breaker by Knight for a 2 count. Reed takes back over on offense and runs over LA Knight. We get a corner splash by Reed and a big choke slam. Reed gets up top but gets crotched. And sort of Knight impressively, right? This was cool. He jumped straight from the mat up onto the top rope.
Yeah, it was
and he's
really
a pretty
cool.
big jack dude. So that was, I think, maybe the most impressive thing he did.
Like flawlessly just jumps up.
But he gets shoved off, takes the top rope splash, and
gets splash.
Pinned by Bronson Reed.
I was just like,
Thoughts?
What?
Me too.
I was not happy with that result. I thought the match was fine leading up to the finish. I thought LA Knight looked really impressive.
Right.
But I really got to question the decision to have boring old Bronson Reed win over the fresh LA Knight.
It has to be almost like there must be a point, like building to something. But yeah, I was very surprised. This is his first like real match, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Against a somewhat viable opponent, and he loses clean.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I thought the match itself, the first half was kind of slow with Knight really not doing anything and Reed hitting a few big moves and then applying like a basic hold for too long.
Right.
The second half was a bit better, but Knight still didn't really do very much and looked kind of basic in his offense, which to be fair, that's the criticism of him, that he's not a ring general.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't love the match.
No, I didn't either. I thought this was a lackluster debut for a guy that they tout and he touts himself, right, as...
And he is good.
The megastar. Everyone else is a superstar, but he's a megastar. So there has to be a plan here.
Right.
I just don't know what it is. But if it's something that surprises me, that's not a bad thing necessarily. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. We then have Wade Barrett tells us that Danny Burch is out as they show his x-ray sort of behind. And Regal has forced Lorcan and Burch to vacate the tag titles as Burch is out 6 months. So then we get a brief little hype video for the MSK Grizzled Young Veterans Legato match that's going to happen at Stand and Deliver, right? For the
vacant titles.
For the vacant title, and also just letting us know that Cross versus Oni Lorcan is up next. So
I don't understand why Legato is here.
I don't either.
And I was saying to you, I would like Breezango to be involved, and then you make this a ladder match.
I would be just okay if it's MSK Grizzled Young Veterans. Yeah. Maybe they feel
I'm saying if you want like like a multiple team match like that.
It would be fun, a ladder match for the titles, right? Because they are vacant. So
yeah, but there is, I guess, another thing involving ladders.
Yes, there is. So that's probably why.
But I think this
should be a good match.
I don't see why you couldn't you could put them on different nights, and then this is. You got 2 ladder matches, because ladder matches are cool, but...
They are. This should be a fun match, too. I'm kind of hoping the Grizzled Young Veterans get the belts, and then...
I was just thinking, we haven't had a ladder match in AEW, like, for a title yet, I don't think.
No? Interesting.
Like, so there's been, like, the Casino ladder match, there's the...
Yeah.
Face of the Revolution.
So, hoping the Veterans win, and then MSK chases, that would be cool.
I just think MSK should win, because they won the tournament, and just give them the titles.
Well, is the precedent set, right? They did that for the women's belts. They just said, "Hey, you guys won the tournament, and we'll make belts for you." And then you'll lose them.
They win the titles,
and then you'll lose them an hour later.
Yeah, and then you lose them to Leon Ruff and Kushida
the next night.
That's the equivalent of what happened in the women.
The same night, I guess, would have to be.
Yeah, it would have to be the same night.
We then get a Walter package with highlights from NXT UK focusing.
No, it'll be the next 2-night takeover.
Right, focusing on Walter as a ring general. And it was a Cricket sponsored thing, which I normally don't mention on here, but it was still pretty cool. And again, I think some North American fans probably need to be introduced to Walter a little bit if they haven't been paying close attention. And he's worth paying attention to, so I'm all for them pushing him. We then get the Karrion Kross versus Oni Lorcan match that we were promised would be next, but wasn't exactly next. But
WWE don't know what that word means.
I think they honestly think that next means like
next match?
No, like next, not next, but after next. Because it's always...
next.
It's never the very next thing, but it's after that every time. It
next,
feels like.
Right, yeah.
So Lorcan attacks right away and briefly has the upper hand until Kross tosses him over the ropes to the floor.
Kross tosses.
Lorcan is then run into the barricade before being suplexed on the floor. Corner spears back in the ring by Cross. Oni lands some chops, but this just sort of fires Cross up, who throws him back outside. He just kept throwing him back outside the ring, basically. Running dropkick, and Oni runs right into a big clothesline from Cross for a 2 count. Armbar by Cross, followed by a corner clothesline and a suplex. Cross tells Lorcan he loved hurting Birch, and Lorcan fires up and targets Cross's shoulder now. Chops and slaps by Lorcan and 2 twisting uppercuts before he gets caught by a boot from Cross. Saito suplex that always looks good, and the forearm to the back of the neck for the win. Cross speaks after the match and wants to address Balor's actions from last week. He says Balor's actions had malice and intention, and Cross appreciates that. When Cross held Balor's neck in his hand, it felt just like anyone else's.
Well, it's a human neck.
Right? When the fuse is lit, there's no stopping what comes next. Balor's music hits, he walks out and stands beside Lorcan. I thought it was funny because Lorcan's lying on the ramp, just completely dead, and Finn walks right up to him and cuts the first part of his, or just stands. I can't remember if he talks or he just stands there listening.
I think he talked like a little bit.
Right,
I don't remember.
As Oni's like lying at his feet, basically. It was just a funny
visual.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Balor says that Cross showed his weakness last week. I kind of like this part. Balor was saying, when a man is young, he fights with uncontrollable emotion. He learns to become cold, and it makes him so he's saying he himself learned to become cold, and it made him untouchable in the ring. And that Cross's issue is he still fights with emotion and reaction, and in those moments he's sloppy and vulnerable. He'll push Cross to the point where he'll either master his emotions or a repeat of last week when his emotions master him. And when they do, Finn will drown him with no emotion. Thoughts on the match and
Balor
the post stuff?
Balor is really good at promos.
He's
now.
Gotten good. I used to think he was like and
he
now
just
I
has
like
his
him.
own. He has that style, I don't know what to call it,
and
but
it's almost like he developed it coming back to NXT, right?
Which is kind of funny.
And maybe it's less scripted. Maybe he has more input. It could be anything, but he's definitely better.
Right. So I thought the match was decent, but if you haven't seen NXT in a year, you'd think Oni Lorcan's still a babyface. They're talking about like, oh, he's gonna get revenge for
completely
Birch's
agree. In
injury,
this match,
and he's like all fired up, and he's like, oh, I enjoyed hurting him, and he's like, ah, and like Cross looks like a heel. Your instinct is, oh, he's a heel.
In fact,
and Lorcan does not.
As we were watching it, you mentioned something about that, and I was like, literally triggered me to go, oh yeah, Oni Lorcan is a heel right now,
right?
Because he was very babyface,
right? Just like if you haven't seen NXT in a year, because a year ago Pat McAfee wasn't around,
right?
And so like he would have been a face. So like you would just assume
if you just woke from a coma,
you'd right? Be like, or like you just like weren't paying attention, right? Yep. Like you would just assume.
Yep. I used the same adjective as you. I said this was a decent match. Cross was mostly dominant. Lorcan got a bit of stuff, but he didn't feel like a heel at all, right? Which you made me realize. Cross doesn't thrill me in the ring, and his promo here I didn't think was amazing either. I loved most of Balor's promo. I thought it kind of lost steam at the end, but still the rest of it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Regal. He tells us it's time to decide who will face Johnny Gargano for the North American title at Stand and Deliver. So did you get the...
I did.
Okay, please tell me the
so we're gonna
machinations of
Gauntlet Eliminator Battle Royal next week.
Okay.
And oh boy, convoluted. Yes.
That's why I was lost and like, okay, Jack's got this.
So 12 guys are participating. I remember there's like
in the Battle
Royal. Other guys.
11 other dudes, yeah.
There's someone. Kushida, I think, maybe Leon Ruff. Anyways.
Doesn't matter.
Final 6 will be in a Gauntlet Eliminator at night 1 of TakeOver, which we saw.
So a Battle Royal down to 6. And
then, so just, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so Battle Royal on the final 6, like the last surviving 6, will be in the Gauntlet Eliminator at night 1 of TakeOver, but the Battle Royal will still continue because the order of the eliminations will determine the entry for the Gauntlet match. And if you don't know what Gauntlet Eliminator is, it's basically like a mini Aztec Warfare, and it's how O'Reilly actually, won his title shot against Balor.
So simplified, basically, if I win the Battle Royal, I'm the last person in the
Gauntlet.
Gauntlet.
Right, you get the best spot in the Gauntlet
I'm the freshest man in the Gauntlet.
I think this should just be a 12-man Gauntlet Eliminator, but
that would be crazy long. But anyways, it sets up some kind of interesting
because then
matches,
you'd have to really plan the eliminations, right?
And it looks like they're trying to get a bunch of people onto the show, just like they do for WrestleMania, right? So that's nice, at least.
Well, 6 people.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, so that's a spot for a few extra guys. So I don't know. It sets up some possibly cool matches, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We then have Kushida cutting a promo complimenting Jordan Devlin, and he wants to challenge one of the best. And tonight, Devlin will find out what happens when he faces the best technical wrestler in NXT.
How about a mediocre technical wrestler in NXT?
And I just don't get a lot of charisma or energy from Kushida.
I agree.
Especially, and I'm comparing...
And Nakamura had both.
And I'm comparing him with Asuka here because they both speak Japanese, and then it's sort of subtitled, right? And Io, too. And if you compare him to either of those two, there's no comparison, right? Their intensity and charisma. Done. No, like their intensity and charisma is like off the charts.
I think he did good in that Gargano match, but I think
that was a great match. But his character is not. I don't find him very charismatic or interesting. Yeah, maybe it's just me.
I agree.
We're shown footage from yesterday where Drake Maverick is involved with an altercation in the locker room. I guess Maverick is blaming Imperium for not being able to find Killian Dane. I guess the implication is that Imperium has taken out Killian Dane, and Drake Maverick is angry about it. But he's going to have to face Walter now, which is not a good idea.
It's basically just like Walter Jack Stars 2.
It is basically a lot like that. So Walter versus Drake Maverick is the match, and it's not long to recap.
Walter versus Drake Maverick is the name of the game.
Maverick attacks Walter. Walter slams Maverick. Walter powerbombs Maverick. Walter puts Maverick in a single leg crab, and the referee stops the match, and Maverick is not moving. So
Maverick is dead.
It was more to get us, so there's nothing to say there, right? Just a squash. It was to get us to this part afterwards, which is Tommaso Ciampa walks down to the ring and says that he was intrigued by Walter. But what he really meant was he's intrigued by the NXT UK title.
Even though he's American as hell.
And he's sort of pointing at it. Ciampa and the fans know that he wants a title shot. Walter tries to walk away, but Ciampa chops him. Bad idea.
That's the most idiotic thing you could do when facing Walter ever is try to chop him.
And so Eichner and Bartel beat down on Ciampa. Walter rips off the piece, whatever it was, necklace that Ciampa's wearing around his neck, and gives him a big chop before
the last thing you want to be held open for is a Walter chop.
And so he's accepting Ciampa's challenge, and we are officially going to get the match.
Two things you don't want to happen to you when you're around Walter is, one, you try to chop him. Two, you get held open for one of his chops.
Right.
Like, that's just, no.
So I thought this was a decent little way to get this match official, I guess. I'm looking forward to the match. I
want to see this very much.
Me too. It should be awesome.
Yeah, it should be great.
We then have Pete Dunne cutting a promo saying nobody stepped up to challenge him and as the best technician in the world, even though Kushida just said he was. You'd think there's a logical thing there. But anyways, he will dominate next week and go on to win the North American title. So he's talking about
Kushida in the thing?
Talking about winning the Battle Royal and then going on to the title. I'm pleased to say that this guy who I love, Pete Dunne, but I've loved him because of his facial expressions and his in-ring work. He's much better on the microphone than I initially thought, right?
I think ever since he's come back in his heel run, he's actually I agree.
So this was a really short little promo, but I thought it was solid. I don't know.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yep, he's really good. I'm pleasantly surprised by him talking.
He's better than the other two guys.
Oh my god, Oni Lorcan is painful on the mic,
even
and Birch is only meh.
Nah,
yeah. We're then backstage with the Robert Stone brand, I guess. Aaliyah is paying Mercedes Martinez to be her partner tonight.
Well, Robert Stone brand, I guess.
Martinez says she will take this money, but Stone has to give her even more of it after the match. Stone agrees, and Aaliyah is elated to have a new partner.
Because she is garbage. Lame.
I felt bad for Mercedes because she's getting pulled into this jobber group. I think because somebody's not available due to injury or whatever, because where's Jessie Kamea? Could be. And if you don't, I don't know if you've noticed this because you don't watch it, but you just listen to me talk about it. This is exactly Brian Myers and Hernandez, right? Like, give me half the money before and half the money after, and I'm your hired.
No, I remember you talking about that.
So it's basically the same. So I feel bad for Mercedes because she's basically, because they need somebody now in a jobber spot.
Yeah, so she's gotten out of 2 loser factions. She got a Robert Stone brand by joining Retribution, and she got out of Retribution.
And then pulled right back in to Robert Stone.
Get in that stupid faction, you!
But it seems like it's just a sort of payment thing.
Reluctant
so hopefully
thing, right? Yeah.
Once Kamea's back, she can get away from it again.
And then they can go back to jobbing.
We then get Johnny Gargano barging into Regal's office to complain about the North American title picture that Regal sort of laid out earlier in the show. He
Basically going to Johnny Gargano about the whole thing.
Right, to whine and complain, which he does well. He says it's not fair and he'll only have 24 hours to study his opponent. Regal suggests he simply study all of the competitors, and if he's as good as he says he is, then it shouldn't really matter who it
Johnny
is.
Takeover, Johnny Wrestling, all that
They
jazz.
both make decent points there, right? It seemed kind of like just a way to get Gargano on the show. It wasn't anything. It's furthering his, like, I'm a giant complainer character, which I guess didn't really accomplish much, but got him on the show. What do you think? Anything?
I think you made a good point. He's good at playing the whining character. I think
for sure.
I think he's made to play the babyface.
Yep.
Though I think he's always been made to play that. I think in time we can get him back there because I think we absolutely should.
He's just a talented dude.
He's good. He's an all-rounder. Yeah, but I think he's been made to play that Daniel Bryan kind of character.
Yep. He's. And that's the thing. If they can just pull off an acceptable heel for a long time, when they do make him babyface, it's going to be awesome. Because he's amazing babyface. NXT Women's Tag Team Title match.
Wait, before this, there's one other Cricket Wireless thingy.
Oh, what was it?
Shotzi Blackheart.
Oh, yeah.
And basically all I had to write was they combined two of my least favorite things: random sponsored video thingies and Shotzi Blackheart.
I don't even remember what the content of it was.
It was just her talking about stuff.
Her great year and since joining.
It was just really bad. It sucked. She sucks.
Yeah, and it was a paid promotion thing, so I generally don't deal with it.
It was gross.
So the tag team title match, Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart are your champions, defending against the Robert Stone brand, which is Aaliyah, and for tonight at least, Mercedes Martinez. So Moon catches Martinez with a face buster early on before Ember launches Martinez into Shotzi, who traps her in a figure 4 choke while Moon hits a forearm. We get a whoopee cushion by Blackheart, which is that one where she jumps off the top rope and sort of hits you with her butt. It's called a whoopee cushion. Anyways,
I thought it was called Big Apple.
I learned that. Stone then gets up. Stone gets up on the apron. No, that's the one when they're. It's like she comes off the top rope and it's like a seated whatever.
Seated senton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the whoopee cushion.
Oh, that's Doink the Clown's thing.
Oh, it could be.
No, I just remember they said I don't know if it's like the dictionary thing.
Yeah.
They said it's the whoopee cushion. I never knew what that was.
Now you do. I'm here to educate, and inform. And entertain, maybe. Probably not, but maybe.
Doubt it.
Stone gets on the apron, tosses his shoe as he gets angry. We get a boot by Martinez, and she and Aaliyah double team Blackheart kind of sloppily, I thought, multiple times for a 2 count. Like, they just clearly weren't working great together. I'm going to blame Aaliyah, but who knows? Shotzi finally manages to tag in Ember Moon, and Ember clears the ring before hitting Aaliyah with the powerbomb for a 2 count. Shotzi sort of takes out Mercedes Martinez with a DDT, and this frees up Ember Moon to hit the Eclipse to Aaliyah for the win. Thoughts?
I did not like this. It was short, but I thought there was like a lot of sloppiness and some weird moves. I just really did not love this, and I thought it was way too predictable as well. Just like predictable and kind of like Fastlane predictable, and did not care.
This was not good. I thought Aaliyah and Mercedes did not work well together here. The champs really didn't do much or look very good either, right?
And Shotzi Blackheart sucks.
And again, I feel bad for Mercedes being sort of pulled into this because it
even
didn't
temporarily,
yeah,
right?
It just wasn't a good match in my opinion. We then get Cameron Grimes talking to Roderick Strong backstage. I kind of like this. He says he's heartbroken over the Undisputed Era splitting up, and he thinks that they should rebrand the team and they should do it together.
Right, and as if Roderick Strong is the one who can. Shouldn't he be talking to Adam Cole?
And then Roddy gets annoyed and punches him, and Grimes now is all fired up, of course.
He's even when it's something just like kind of dumb. See, like this to me is like exactly what Riddle's been doing, except this didn't suck.
Yeah, I find this amusing, right? This over the top like recent millionaire who doesn't know what to do with his money, and now he's looking for, I guess, his next investment, which would be sort of to become the Undisputed Era, restart it, sell a bunch of merch, make some more money. So Grimes and Roddy, it looks like this is a match to sort of fill out Stand and Deliver, right?
That would be good.
Fine by me, right?
Remember Takeover 25? I think the opener was just a random, like, I think it was Strong and Riddle.
Yeah.
I think that was the debut of the Bro Derek.
So I think it'd be nice if they can get a little bit of build further for this match before it happens, but the match should be good. And I think I will like it because it also gives Grimes a chance to get a win, right? Roddy doesn't need a win right now, I don't think.
Yeah, I think like if he
Grimes
wins, good for him. If he loses, that's fine.
Right. So I think Grimes could pick up a needed win against a quality opponent here to sort of stop him from going down the road of just pure comedy. I still want people to understand like this guy's awesome in the ring, right? So that's what I'm hoping for anyways, if I were booking it. We then get Ember Moon and Shotzi are backstage. post the victory, I guess, and they're interrupted by Candice LeRae and Indy
Hartwell.
Hartwell.
I think it was like, we're TCB with Ember's Law.
Oh, that is
and
super
I'm just
cheesy.
Like, oh my god, gross.
So Indy and Candice suggest the champs look their way for their next competition. Moon says they've done that before and they'll do it again, but LeRae says it will be on the Way's time, and Moon says juvenile annoying things as they leave, like it was like listening to a 12-year-old girl.
This was so bad.
This was not good, and I thought Ember Moon
gross.
Was like, as the kids say, cringy at the end of this.
No, for sure.
Right?
And I hated that line that I made a note of.
Yes.
It was just... Like, the
it's
TCB
two bad
thing,
things stacked together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they said some dumb line with the ball pit too that are like, oh yeah, the way into the ball pit. And I'm just like, oh, gross.
So I don't have any interest in
this.
I don't have interest in this match, and I don't think Indy's quite ready for this either, especially if it's going to be on a pay-per-view.
If I'm being honest, I don't think Shotzi's ready for this either.
Well, I mean, she's done some stuff I like, and at least they're a team and they've been successful, right? Indy's, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Candice is awesome, so maybe she can carry Indy to this match. We'll see.
Yeah.
We then get a rundown of next week's show and the announced matches for Stand and Deliver. So as of now, or as of then, I guess, TakeOver Night 1 was looking like tag team titles. So MSK, GYV, and Legato.
The three-way tag.
The Gauntlet Eliminator, Ciampa Walter for the UK title, and Io Raquel is the main event for the Women's Championship. That's a nice lineup already.
Mm-hmm.
Night 2 looks like the main event will be Finn and Karrion Kross, obviously, and so far it looks like it'll be Gargano's title defense against whoever it is, and Devlin Escobar, which could be like the sleeper.
Right, could be a sleeper hit.
Yeah, I think so. We then get Jordan Devlin versus the best technical wrestler in NXT, quote unquote, Kushida.
Yeah.
So a little bit of grappling and whatever to no advantage to start out until we get a Uranagi suplex by Devlin. He follows with a standing moonsault, which looks really nice. He's very, very fluid and graceful, this guy. Kushida takes down Devlin early with a heel hook. Devlin hits Kushida with the Uranagi and a standing moonsault for a 2... Oh, sorry, I already had that. Kushida hits Devlin with a hip toss, cartwheel, dropkick. And then Kushida focuses his attack on Devlin's left arm at this point. Devlin takes down Kushida with a jawbreaker, counters a baseball slide with an Asai moonsault, and then a sort of commercial break happens right here. Back from the break, Devlin has Kushida locked in a cravat. They both get to their vertical base. Kushida hits Devlin with a series of punches and a handstand elbow. Kushida slams Devlin into the mat with a shoulder, like when he just drags you down by the arm, basically.
Like an arm bulldog, I think it is.
Yes, thank you. Continuing to focus on Devlin's left arm. Devlin gets to the ropes to prevent Kushida from locking in the hoverboard lock, and he reverses a Kimura with a pin attempt to force Kushida to break the hold. Devlin hits Kushida with a cutter for a 2 count. Devlin tries to get the Devil inside, but his arm sort of gives out on him, selling the work that Kushida's been doing on the arm. Devlin's then distracted when Escobar, Wild, and Mendoza show up at the top of the ramp. Kushida hit Devlin with a nice superplex right into a Falcon Arrow, right into an armbar, but Devlin gets his foot on the rope. A nice sequence from Kushida there. The referee is distracted, so Wild and Mendoza pull Devlin to ringside and are about to attack him. Devlin kind of ducks under both of them, heads back to the ring. Kushida ends up knocking Wild and Mendoza off the apron with his handspring sort of boot thing. Devlin uses a jackknife pin into a neck bridge for the roll-up victory here. So the sort of distraction thing kind of backfired, I guess, but it was still kind of was a distraction finish, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Kushida hit Wild and Mendoza at ringside with a tope con hilo. Kushida then dives from the stage and hits Wild and Mendoza with a cannonball. Escobar gets in Jordan Devlin's face inside the ring, and all of a sudden, HBK's entrance music hits.
Right, I was just like, what?
And he heads down to the ring.
And then I realized why.
I thought this was a great use of him because he didn't talk, right?
Yeah, and then I realized why he was
and
there.
It wasn't upstaging any of the young talent. Yeah, I kind of liked it too. So he takes a ladder out from under the ring and slides it into the ring, and then he just sort of salutes them and walks away. What did you think about this whole scenario?
I thought the match was actually pretty decent until the lame roll-up finish, so overall I didn't really love it. Just because it never really got off the ground. And looking at the layout, this is technically your main event match.
I guess, least. Yeah, right? It's the last thing.
So, not great. As soon as I saw Michaels, I was confused, and then I realized why he was here. And I was right because of his match with Razor Ramon from Mania.
I thought that was a cool, subtle nod.
Yeah, an undisputed title match being a ladder match, it makes sense. It's happened multiple times before. So it's a good choice. I think they should still also do a ladder match for the tag titles, but that's
I thought it was a clever way to reveal that it was a ladder match.
Or just like, it's like he's suggesting it, but you know they're going to do it.
And I kind of agreed with you. Like, Devlin is so good and so smooth. This match was just getting good.
I think it was a waste of his time.
Before the interruption by Legado and the kind of a lame roll-up finish. But the announcement of the ladder match is cool, and that match should be amazing. And again, I like the use of Michaels here. I thought that was an appropriate use of a megastar. Without
I think a better use of a ladder match, in my opinion, would be the tag titles, because I think I always would prefer a multi-man ladder match opposed to one-on-one, because like you have more people to stop you. So like it's just like it's a better dynamic, you know, and like you don't have to like wait for the guy to get
right.
up.
There should be somebody able to stop you.
So just like, I don't know, I just think it works better.
Yeah. So then we get into the last segment, which is going to take me a while because it's really long. So
it is pretty good.
Bear with me. So Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole are shown sort of in separate hallways heading to the ring with security escorts. And then at Gorilla, Adam Cole has kind of a little stare down as he passes Shawn Michaels, which is cool because I've always told you that I think Adam Cole's the closest thing to Shawn Michaels of this generation. They're quite similar, in fact, I think. So it's kind of a cool little situation there. So we have Regal. He's trying to sort of mediate a contract signing between Cole and O'Reilly. Regal is angry with both of them for all the trouble they've been causing recently, like the whole police involvement last week and stuff like that, right? So he's unhappy that the police had to get involved and announces that NXT isn't liable for what happens at Stand and Deliver, and that this match will be the co-main event of night 2. So Adam Cole speaks and says he had a revelation. He didn't need to be undisputed anymore. Undisputed Era was holding him back, and Kyle O'Reilly showed him that. Cole said he was actually buying into the BS about being a brotherhood, and that he had to see Kyle O'Reilly fail twice. And when he went after...
Yeah, you had to kind of like sit back while he wanted the title, but O'Reilly's busy, like, and he's failing.
And failing, right? I sat back while you got 2 attempts and failed at the championship. Cole went on to say O'Reilly then made the decision to try to befriend Finn Balor and recruit him into Undisputed Era. Cole realized that O'Reilly was happy being a lapdog, and Cole is nothing like that. He said he's not one to sit on the sideline, and that O'Reilly lost sight of what this was all about. O'Reilly should be thanking Cole because O'Reilly wouldn't have made it to WWE without him. Cole is the only one who main evented, led the charge, sold the merchandise, and O'Reilly did nothing. And you can kind of see Cole's point a little bit. Everyone knows who will win
at heel logic.
Everyone who knows who will win at Stand and Deliver already, and the only person who doesn't know that answer is the lapdog sitting across from him. Obviously referring to O'Reilly himself.
Burn.
And then Cole signs the contract. O'Reilly signs it right away, and he starts to talk about how he and Cole didn't care who they stepped on to succeed. He said they were pit bulls, and he understands that the two of them will always have heat with the locker room and management for the way they sort of behaved as a heel faction. O'Reilly said that since the Undisputed Era came to WWE, they all became better fighters, champions, and stars. Cole is the same jerk who stepped foot in NXT a few years ago, and that if anyone thinks he and Cole will be cool again, they are mistaken. So it's basically they're done forever. O'Reilly said he sold his soul to the Undisputed Era, and now he wants it back. And that Cole is basically a conceited prick who uses his friends to get ahead, and not a single person is going to be surprised when O'Reilly beats Cole to a pulp. O'Reilly said for the first time in 4 years after the win, he will sleep like a baby. Cole speaks again and says that O'Reilly is signing his death warrant. O'Reilly tosses the pen at Cole. Cole and O'Reilly kind of try to get at each other and are held back by security. And Vic Joseph sort of ends the show by hyping up the unsanctioned match at TakeOver. Thoughts on this main event segment?
I really loved this. It was really good. And I always knew Cole was good at promos. I think that everyone's known that.
Yep.
But I thought O'Reilly was really awesome here, too. I think they both made valid points. I really like this. I think this is better than the supposed main event match we got.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a great way to end the show.
Yep. I thought Cole was fantastic here, and he makes it feel real, right? Like you believe this guy. He's just one of those guys where whatever he's trying to tell me, I can pretty much believe it. Obviously, way better as a heel. Way better. What he says makes sense in the context of their storyline, and his delivery, facial expressions are awesome. And I think you're right.
Like, O'Reilly did fail, and then also like befriending Balor, like
right.
Why?
You're kind of like, yeah, that does make sense, right? O'Reilly really held his own here, and that's not easy to do because Cole is fantastic. He's really grown as a performer on the mic. I thought he finished really strong here, and this was a very solid segment to end the show. These two can really make this feel like a blood feud, right? Which is going to add to my interest in the match, and it should make this match absolutely insane. I love a heel like Cole that's obsessed with winning the title, and that's all he cares about. Kind of like Ciampa was doing with the whole Goldie thing, right? Like, everything else is secondary, friendships, family, whatever. Just the championship's the only thing that matters.
Right.
And then Kyle is a super strong babyface now who has been wronged by this guy and has lots of motivation to want to take him out. So this has been a pretty good build, and I thought this was a really strong end to this show.
Mm-hmm.
Overall thoughts?
Honestly, I don't love the show just because I think the opener was like pretty good, but like anything else, there wasn't really anything that I loved.
Right.
Other than this last segment, so honestly, I'd probably give it like a B-, because like I didn't really love anything aside from the main event thing.
That's, I think, pretty fair.
So.
I'm similar. I mostly enjoyed this show. I thought it was bookended by two strong segments. I really liked the women's opener, the tag opener, and I really liked the Cole O'Reilly segment. And then in between, it was kind of like the Kushida Devlin was good, but it was too short, and the ending wasn't satisfying, right? The women's tag match was, like, I think, kind of bad, frankly. And the cross match was just typical.
Wait, which tag match?
The women's tag one.
There's two.
The tag title match.
Okay.
Was weak. The opening tag match I liked a lot, actually. And Cross just had a typical Cross match, right? Where that seems to be just how they are. They're fine, but they're not amazing by NXT standards. The show seemed to be more about furthering storylines and maybe creating new ones with the Grimes and Strong thing coming out of this. I thought it did a good job in that area, and I would give it a B, mostly because none of the matches other than the opener were exciting to me, really. But I thought it was still did a decent job of building to stand and deliver, and I'm looking forward to watching both nights of that, so I gave it a B. Solid, but not spectacular. Yeah. I would say go see the opener, go see the main event, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that wraps up our NXT review and takes us into our next segment, which is our Any Other Wrestling Business. So let's do that now. So I'm going to start it with Ring of Honor, as I generally do. So let's talk about it. Quinn McKay hypes the main event for tonight, which is LFI versus the Foundation in an 8-man tag team showdown for ROH supremacy.
Sorry, I noticed in the anniversary special that Dragon Lee's not there. Like Kenny King's defending the TV title
I love Dragon
for him,
Lee.
Which is weird, like, cause like
I haven't watched
the TV
ROH
champion, right? So it looked like King was defending the TV title for him, and then I think him and Bestia were defending tag titles. I don't know why.
That's too bad. I love Dragon Lee.
I saw that on Instagram.
He's one of my favorite things in there. Yeah, they had a pay-per-view yesterday that I have not watched yet, so I'm trying not to see spoilers because I do want to kind of check it out. So the opener of this episode will be Eli Isom making his return against Ray Horace in this match or in this opener. Sorry,
I know Ray Horace.
Yeah, Eli Isom. I maybe have seen him before, but I didn't really remember. So anyways, he of course gets a chance to talk here. He talks about his athletic background and his 3 years of experience with wrestling, all of it with ROH. So he's fairly new still. 3 years in the world of wrestling isn't very long. He's always been called a natural athlete, and it bothers him as it takes away from all of his hard work. And I kind of like that idea, right? That just saying you're a natural athlete is sort of like saying he doesn't have to work hard. He's just naturally good. And he's saying, no, that's not true. He talks about losing his mom in a car accident and struggling to make ends meet, and he didn't even have a bed at times. He thought about giving up. He fought, and that's why he's here. He talks about meeting Will Ferrara and Cheeseburger early in ROH and forming a group that I don't think I ever saw. He hasn't wrestled on TV in a while, and he is saying that he will be a major player in ROH. He finishes by putting over Oris's skill before saying that he can do the same things, and he's here to cement his legacy and win gold. His climb to the top starts with Oris. I like the promo, very similar to the promos that were common right after the reboot. So this is like a sit-down, pre-recorded thing. It was a complete introduction to his character, and I, for one, needed it because I don't really know this guy at all, so I appreciate these things. It was a pretty generic babyface story, but the fact that it was his real background, at least it felt like it, added to it, and I thought he did a good job here. I have no idea what he can do in the ring. I don't think I've ever seen him before. If I did, I don't remember it. So then obviously Ray Horus gets his chance to speak, and he starts out focusing on his competitive loss to Dragon Lee. He says that match had made him grow as an athlete and wrestler, and that Dragon must remember the next time the story will be different. He will rise again in the ranking and get another shot. He then switches to focus on Isom. He tells Eli that Eli may have a big future, but that Horus is the present, and he will show that Mexican wrestling is number one in his next match. So then we go right to the match. It is Eli Isom versus Ray Horus, and we are told that COVID protocols have kept Isom out of action, is why we haven't seen him in so long, because ROH does have, I think, the most stringent of COVID sort of restrictions of any of the companies I've seen. In like the wrestlers are staying in hotels and getting tested and not allowed to interact with anyone before they wrestle, sort of things. Anyways, we get some wrist lock counters and reversals followed by chops to start. Huge diving senton by Horus over the ring post to Isom on the floor that looked really cool. Isom's thrown into the barricade as we head to a commercial. Isom tries a delayed vertical suplex, but Horus knees Isom in the head to break the hold and then hits a standing Spanish fly to Isom for a near fall. Horus drops a clear F-bomb that has to get edited out after the near fall. Like he just the camera's pulled right in on his face and he just swears clearly. We get a forearm exchange and an enziguri by Isom as Horus looks for a discus strike. Overhead suplex released into the turnbuckles by Horus for a 2 count. A swinging DDT attempt by Horus countered into a nice brainbuster called The Promise by Isom, and he picks up the surprise win, or at least it was a surprise to me. His finisher's a brainbuster. You know, I'm a sucker for a nice brainbuster.
Really? I didn't know.
No. I was expecting to be writing about how this was basically an enhancement match, but it was not. So I was very surprised by the finish. To be honest, I wasn't super impressed by Isom. I guess they're looking to build him a little bit. He looked kind of basic in his offense, which would make sense because he doesn't have a ton of experience. And Horus really didn't do much to showcase his speed and high flying ability, which is what he's good at. The match was decent. The brainbuster finisher was cool, but wasn't great overall, I didn't think. We then get a very ECW style promo saying that ROH was not only built on pure wrestling, but on violence, and that it is time to restore the violence. There was no speaking. Everything was communicated through text on the screen with blurry images. And I thought it looked kind of cool and is a cool idea. Basically, it's like this reaction to the pure movement, right? Like, no, it wasn't just pure wrestling. There was a history of violence and like other stuff going on here too. So I have no idea what this video is hinting at, but it did grab my interest in it.
Title.
And it was only about 30 seconds long. So I'm hoping it's a new wrestler and not just like one of the other factions, you know what I mean, that already exists.
Or they partner with CZW.
Or something. I'm hoping it's something new, right? That would be awesome. We then get Matt Taven cutting a sort of mini promo about ending his issues with Vincent after a year and a half on March 26th in an unsanctioned match, another one, at 19th they're everywhere right now, at the 19th anniversary show. This was my favorite Matt Taven.
Well, these companies don't want to be held liable for anything.
That's right. This is my favorite Matt Taven promo because it was 15 seconds long and he said almost nothing. I hate to sound mean, but he does nothing for me, especially character-wise. But it seems like ROH likes him and we get a focus on him pretty consistently. And I just find him a terrible babyface.
I like 2K Orion.
He's just naturally hateable. You say that all the time, and I don't even remember who that guy is.
He was in the Kingdom with Taven.
I know, but I maybe saw him once or twice in my life. He clearly made an impression on you, but I don't remember him.
I don't even know why I like him. He's just...
You just remember you like him?
He looks kind of cool. He has a cool name.
If you say so. We then get... I'm very excited. We get an EC3 promo. Yay! He says Jay Briscoe is on an island and EC3 will attack that island. Lots of imagery of burning things, and he wants Briscoe to bring his best, and more talk about honor and lots of words and very little substance, as usual with EC3.
Shocker.
But to be fair, he maybe was slightly less verbose than usual, thankfully, but I'm still not a fan of his character, his speaking in this current time. Jay Briscoe gets to respond, and this was probably the highlight of the show for me. He mocks EC3 for using the control your narrative line when the Briscoes have been doing that for years. The fact that they have turned down WWE numerous times is evidence of that.
Did they actually say that?
Makes sense, yes. He literally said, like, you talk about controlling your narrative. Well, we've controlled ours always. We've always had offers from WWE, and we've said no because we want to be in control. So it's kind of like, you talk about this control your narrative. We actually do it, and we've done it forever.
He was in WWE.
And I liked it. Sorry?
And he
actually said WWE.
Because he was in, because EC3 was in WWE,
yeah,
right?
And that's where, So it says they turned down max-level NXT contracts while EC3 kept trying to get a foothold in WWE and was unsuccessful. He explains that he won't shake EC3's hand because EC3 doesn't deserve it, and he lists several greats from around the world that he has wrestled and shaken hands with. If EC3 can look him in the eye and give him a good fight, then he might shake his hand. I actually love this promo. I'm not really doing it justice. He was super intense and said things that are very true. EC3 is just figuring out how to control his narrative when the Briscoes have been doing it for years. EC3 tried to chase success all over the place multiple times and failed, and the Briscoes stayed in ROH and have had great success and have been totally happy. I really hope Briscoe wins this match, but I have my doubts, obviously. I know I say this all the time. EC3 really needs to switch things up. This current character is so lame. I just don't buy anything he's saying, and the fact that he feels compelled to use so many extra words to express everything and anything is obnoxious to me. But this Briscoe promo was really good, I thought. We then get the main event.
Because he doesn't have Dixie Carter anymore.
I guess.
Because that's what
his
that's his
Aunt
good
Dixie.
That's because his character was the Dixie Carter character was good.
That was actually a cool character, the 1%er. I thought that was really cool. He was like a new version of $1 Million Man. It was pretty fun. And this one he's trying to get away from that, and it's not working for me. We then get LFI, which is Roosh, Dragon Lee, Kenny King, Bestia Del Ring, versus the Foundation, which is Jay Lethal, Jonathan Gresham, Tracy Williams, and Rhett Titus in our main event.
Who was in LFI before Kenny King? Isn't he replacing someone?
I don't know. I haven't been following it that closely for long enough, I don't think. Since I've been watching it, I don't think anyone. But you can look that up. Research. Amy Rose joins Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman on commentary. We get quick pre-match...
Mascara.
Oh, there you go. We get quick pre-match promos as each team makes their entrance. LFI brag about their championships, while Tracy Williams of the Foundation talks about how LFI have abused their power and that they stand in the way of the Foundation. They will take multiple titles in one night at the next pay-per-view, which was yesterday, and will rebuild ROH brick by brick. So Lee and Gresham start out and battle to no advantage before Dragon Lee spits on Lethal on the apron, and all 8 men get in the ring, but they don't really brawl. Cooler heads prevail, and they head back to their corners. Each team tags out, and we get Bestia Del Ring and Tracy Williams facing off. Bestia takes control with strikes and a clothesline.
I saw Bestia in the thingy I saw.
He's actually okay.
He looks pretty old.
Yeah, he is. Well,
no, I know, obviously. But he just looks really old.
So he spits on Lethal in the corner again. Williams takes control with a back elbow and a drop kick off a missed senton from Bestia. Bestia briefly escapes to the floor, and as he returns, Lethal and Roosh tag in. Roosh is in control with a slap and some stomps. Lethal fires up, hits chops of his own, followed by an enziguri. Springboard dropkick and a suicide dive by Lethal. Lethal spits on Bestia, and we have another group standoff in the ring as we head to commercial. Back from commercial, Titus and King are now the legal men, and they're grappling on the mat. King stops a forearm assault with an eye rake before taking a boot from Titus, followed by a crossbody for 2. Tracy Williams tags in and takes control of King's arm. Lethal and Gresham are in and continue the attack on King's arm. Foundation isolate King in their corner and make quick tags. Things eventually break down, and LFI beat on the Foundation outside the ring all over the place. Barricades, ring posts, announce tables, choking with cables, etc. Just all-out heel tactics as LFI does. As soon as they don't have an advantage, they just cheat like crazy, which I kind of like. LFI is trying to cause damage before the pay-per-view, and this makes sense to me. Back from another commercial with all 4 of LFI taking turns chopping Lethal in the corner before a group drop kick as Lethal rolls to the floor. Williams steps in, but he gets beaten down by all 4, and Roosh removes Williams' shoulder brace before King hits him with a spine buster. Titus gets involved and gets beaten down too before taking a top rope splash from Kenny King. Gresham is successful in fighting off LFI and tags in Titus. How could anyone know who the legal man is at this point? It's just kind of chaos. Titus is on fire, hits a Northern Light suplex to Bestia from the apron in for a 2 count. Dropkick by Titus into a pile driver for Williams for a near fall. We get a signature parade, and they take turns hitting big moves, which leaves Williams in the ring by himself. King snaps Williams' neck on the rope, and Bestia hits his modified pile driver for the win. LFI pose in the ring before a rundown of the anniversary card as the show ends. I enjoyed the match. It started out with a clear attempt to pair everyone up and have them get involved. And then there was a classic like parade of signatures, as I said. But all in all, I thought it was pretty fun to watch. It may not be for everyone because LFI is constantly cheating and cutting corners, even if they don't need to, but it works for me. They stand for everything the Foundation hates, so this feud makes sense to me. I personally enjoyed the violence and cheating by the heel faction. It's just part of their character, and it's kind of, you have to expect it at all times. I wouldn't want a company full of this tactic, but one group that behaves this way is fine by me, and LFI continues to be one of the more interesting things about this company, in my opinion. So the lineup for the anniversary show that was yesterday, I don't go through it because it's now happened. People can look it up, but I don't think I'm going to do a podcast about it, but you never know. So overall, this episode was just decent. Considering it was a go-home show, it kind of lacked building anything but the LFI Foundation situation, really. The opener was fine, but nothing special outside of a surprise win for Isom, and the main event was exactly what I expected and was just to provide a final push before these factions battle at the pay-per-view. My highlight, as I said, would be the Jay Briscoe promo as he ripped apart EC3's annoying character in kind of an entertaining and realistic way for me. A B show this week, maybe a bit generous, solid but not spectacular. Big yawn from Jackson.
Yeah.
Because you don't watch this, so you just got to listen to me ramble. But now it's your turn.
It's more fun to listen to Impact, because at least
it is.
That sucks.
There's some, like, because, yeah, there's always something that annoys me almost always on Impact.
Either it's good interesting or bad interesting.
Right. But now let's get you talking, right? So we're going to go into our Pro Wrestling Rewind. So tell us what we're watching
6,
this week.
We're keeping on the ROH train. So I wanted to download Tetsuya Naito on 2K19 because they got a couple of his like signature moves on there. So I thought I would use this week's Pro Wrestling Rewind as like a way to kind of see his moveset. In case I need to make modifications to it, the one I download. So we got Tetsuya Naito versus Jay Lethal from ROH, All-Star Extravaganza 8 from 2016. So as Jay Lethal is making his entrance, Naito just kicks the ring announcer in the stomach and starts attacking him. And so Lethal sprints to the ring and they trade back and forth strikes. Springboard dropkick by Lethal, and Naito fakes a dive. A suicide dive by Lethal after taking control. Back in the ring for a 2 count. Jabs and a chop by Lethal. Tornado DDT by Naito, and Naito chokes Lethal with his shirt. Boot in a corner, kind of like swinging dropkick, kind of like the Jeff Hardy style.
Right.
By Naito. Enziguri by Naito. Lethal combination by Lethal.
It's always cool.
Back suplex by Lethal after forearm barrage by Naito. 2 more back suplexes by Lethal. Top rope elbow drop.
Hail to the King. It's his signature.
Right.
From his
Black Machismo gimmick.
Right, exactly.
Black Machismo Randy Savage gimmick.
Exactly.
Which gets him a 2 count. Naito stops the Lethal injection with the drop kick as he goes for the handspring part. Shotgun drop kick from the top by Naito. A Frankensteiner by Naito, and a sidewalk slam for 2. Spinebuster by Naito, and Lethal's able to counter Destino with a cutter, which looked pretty cool.
Which they call the Destino, which was weird.
Right,
really annoyed you, and
they call it Destino in Japan, and I think they would know.
It's the first time I remember people saying Destino as well. I thought it was kind of funny.
So, and Naito avoids Lethal injection and hits a rolling kind of like cartwheel kick. Enziguri by Lethal, inverted atomic drop and a jackknife pin for Naito by Naito for 2 after an Evil distraction, because Evil's part of Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Yes.
I said it right.
You did.
Crossface submission by Lethal. Evil takes out the ref and starts wailing on Lethal. Corner clothesline by Evil and a basement dropkick by Naito. Super kick to Evil by Lethal. Second rope cutter for a near fall by Lethal on Naito. Ref is back. Hurricane Rana and Lethal injection for a very sudden win by Lethal.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I wasn't expecting Naito to lose here, but
yeah.
Do you want me to talk first about it?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I thought the match was fine. It wasn't very long, so there's not much to say.
And it is available on YouTube if you want to check it out, right?
It's pretty good. I'm kind of disappointed that Naito didn't hit Destino, because I do want to see that.
Right.
And as I mentioned, I only watched this because I needed to see a Naito match.
You would have even taken a Destino, maybe.
Sure.
That's his North American version.
Yeah. But nonetheless, this was not the best match reference because it's short and Naito didn't do too much. And nonetheless, it wasn't so bad. So I get like a B
Yeah, I think that's fair. It wasn't very long. It was a lot of lethal. I did think Naito's like facial expressions and charisma came through here. Like you can see why he became a megastar in Japan because he is quite interesting.
Yeah, he's a babyface, and then I remember because they even mentioned it. He turned kind of heel and formed LIJ because he won. I think it was the G1 in like 2012 maybe, and so he was supposed to face Okada in the main event,
right?
As it traditionally happens. But this is when Nakamura was being awesome.
Yeah,
so there was the fan poll, and so the IC title main evented, and so his kind of dream was over, and so like. I think they even mentioned like he's kind of like never forgiven the fans for that,
and he's gone super mega heel, and he'll never,
right.
So I like his character, but he really didn't get to showcase how good he is in ring here. I didn't think. Lethal's awesome in the ring, but he's just never connected with me. I don't know what it is about him. I just don't find any of his character work believable. But he is really good in the ring. So it was a well-paced match between two guys that are really good, but I think it wasn't an amazing match either. There wasn't any mistakes or like lulls. It was good. So I would say, a B, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Impact.
It is time for Impact Wrestling.
Sucker.
And I can't even remember if I liked it or hated it because it seems so long ago now.
Well, we will find out.
Let's talk about it. So the show starts with Kenny Omega and Don Callis walking backstage, but we have no audio. It's just showing them.
Oh, wait. I was going to say, that would be a good way to start.
Then we get a recap of the Good Brothers Finn Juice and the Trey Miguel, Sami Callihan storylines from last week, along with some highlights from the Callis Swan in-ring promo that was mostly really good last week. Stryker then welcomes us to the show, and we head straight into the opening match as Deonna Purrazzo's music hits, and she makes her entrance. And it is Deonna Purrazzo with Susan, yay, love Deonna Purrazzo, versus Jazz in a non-title match.
You love Jazz.
Do not love Jazz at this point.
What?
This combination of women seem to have been dealing with each other for what feels like a really long time, but again, the depth of this division is not great right now, so there's not...
It's weird because it was, right?
It was, and now it's not. We get a lockup to start, and Deonna takes Jazz to the mat. Jazz eventually gains the advantage, stunning Deonna with a series of punches. Deonna uses her technical ability to regain the advantage. We then get a strike exchange where Jazz eventually gets the better of Purrazzo, obviously, because she is more of the powerhouse, and Purrazzo's like the technical wizard. Deonna looks for the Fujiwara armbar, but Jazz lands a facebuster. At one point, Susan puts Deonna's foot on the ropes to break the pinfall attempt. Jordan Grace is not happy about this, obviously, and charges at Susan outside the ring. Susan sidesteps Grace, and Grace runs into the ring post. There's an awkward part where Jazz reaches through the ropes at Susan. The ref tries really hard to be distracted here. You know, it's one of those things where the ref's like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be seeing this. And he like goes to check on, I think, Purrazzo in a spot where no ref would ever check on her. Susan reaches back and hits Jazz with a shoe, allowing Purrazzo to roll up Jazz for the victory. So it's like a cheating roll-up win. Yay.
Woohoo!
I felt bad at times for Purrazzo having to sell some of the weak-looking offense from Jazz. Her back elbows and her clotheslines, particularly in this match, did not look like they had much impact. I hate that Purrazzo needed outside involvement to beat someone the caliber of Jazz. That's not what I would have happen here. She should be just wrestling circles around Jazz at this point. No one looked good here. This match accomplished basically nothing, so not a great start to the show. What happened to the hot openers we had a few weeks in a row a while back, right? So you must be happy because right off the bat, I did not like this match.
I more like it when it's like something like a Wrestle House or Swingers Palace or something like where it's funny bad.
The Good Brothers,
where I can actually take like enjoyment and you're not
in my suffering.
Yes.
The Good Brothers are telling stories to random guys in the locker room as Eddie Edwards interrupts.
That feels like very Good Brothers.
Yeah. It's them like, hey, when I was it's them doing their shtick.
The good old days.
Eddie says that the Good Brothers were too good to share a change room with everyone the past few weeks, and now that they've lost their titles, they're still not welcome in the locker room with the rest of the roster. So it's sort of like, you refused to change with us before, so now we don't want you here. Good Brothers say they were about to leave anyways, and they do, but they run into Decay, who are sort of in the hallway laughing at them. I thought this was fine, and everyone on the roster hating the Good Brothers makes sense to me because they are very hateable. And the Good Brothers need to find something to do until Finn Juice return, I guess. So it looks like it'll be Eddie Edwards tonight, and then maybe it's sort of teasing some sort of involvement with Decay. And unfortunately, I imagine that'll mean Decay has to lose to the Good Brothers in the end, which sucks for them. But Good Brothers don't lose very often, so that's the way it goes. We get a fake ad for Swingers Casino where he talks about coming into a large sum of money, which is referring to stealing the roll of cash, which there still exists and making reference to, however long it's been, over a year for sure, and opening a casino, which makes me laugh too because his casino, quote unquote, is literally one blackjack table set up in a locker room. Alicia and a security guy endorsed the casino because Alicia has to get TV time every week, right? Just has to be in the show.
Yeah, just so you can suffer.
So this was bad, but really short. But it also means that segments like this would continue because they're clearly not going to do this if they're not continuing to use this location as for something in this show. And again, Alicia gets her screen time, and it was clear that she was reading lines that were written for her. Like you could see her eyes moving back and forth, and she was holding an unlit cigarette, which just looked stupid to me as well. But anyways, try not to be mean to Alicia because I'm sure she's a very nice young woman. Rohit is being an arrogant heel backstage, and he almost trips over Falaba, who is sleeping under a tarp on the floor. I guess the point is he is homeless due to his gambling problem and losing all of his money in Swingers Casino. So Rohit insults Ba and calls him down on his luck. Ba takes exception and says he'll shove his fist down Rohit's throat.
I was going to say butt.
Ba walks away and Rohit destroys Ba's makeshift tent.
I'm gonna shove my fist up your butt.
Rohit was really good here as usual. I just hate to see him involved in any more comedy and Swingers Palace segments. I was hoping he was too big for this and getting away from it. I hope this is just to set up a one-off match that Rohit wins, and Ba was fine in his role here, but Rohit's too good for this stuff. Ace Austin versus TJP for the X Division Championship, which is something I was really looking forward to on this show. Holds encounters to start, and then the match becomes a really nice, fast-paced back and forth with both men showcasing impressive offense. Fulton gets involved at one point, dragging Austin to the ropes and placing his foot on it for a break. The finish comes when TJP counters a fold attempt by Austin. TJP hits the detonation kick and Mamba Splash, but Fulton comes in to blow up the pin and give TJP the win via DQ, but obviously Ace Austin would keep the title. So that was quite disappointing to me. As Fulton attempts to continue the beatdown on TJP, though, we get Josh Alexander showing up with a chair and the heels retreat, and I think it sets up Alexander TJP tag match against Fulton and Austin, I think, next week. This was a fast, fun TV match, but the finish is just a cop-out, right? And I'm sure it's going to extend this program with TJP clearly had the match won, so I imagine we're not done with TJP Ace Austin, which I wish we were. Both guys looked good during the match, but that's no surprise. They're talented. It's just the end made it really lame. I was really looking forward to this match, and it basically was nothing. Gia has a sit-down interview with Matt Cardona and asks for his initial thoughts on Impact. Cardona says he loves it there, and the cuffs are off, and he's excited for some fresh matchups. He lives his life always ready and will capitalize on opportunities.
Always with a Z.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
It's that 90s style, like the
it's
Hardy Boys?
No, it's just Matt Cardona being Matt Cardona.
So cool. Gia brings up Myers.
Always cool.
And Myers' idea that Cardona is sort of riding his coattails. Cardona says it's coincidence that they both came to the land of opportunity. He's not here to fight Myers, but Myers won't shut up, so Cardona challenges him to a match, and when it's over, they're done. Cardona was actually good here giving a serious interview, but it looks goofy. He needs to update his look at some point. I know that it's now like his brand, right? It's beyond just his look, but it needs to change. It's really outdated, and I don't think it allows him to like change his character and grow very much if he insists on looking like that. Good promo though. He and Myers should have a pretty good match, I think, by Impact standards. I know. At least once a week, I think I slip up.
Yeah.
Trey Miguel is angry backstage and knocks over a chair to show he's passionate and throws a bag to show that he's passionate. And apparently,
flip over your remote.
Apparently, the bag belonged to Triple XL, so they get in his face now. Dreamer breaks them up and makes an exploding barbed wire match at the pay-per-view. Ha ha ha.
Wait.
It was just a joke.
Between him and Triple XL.
I get Trey, I think. It's not. He wasn't being serious. It was a shot at
No, that's funny.
AEW.
The people they're working with. Oh wait, no, I guess that the
Well, yeah, kind of.
I mean, AEW just kept ragging on Impact.
That's exactly that's coming up in my notes, right? Finally, right? Romero laughs and points out that match did not go well last time. Dreamer said that people love sparklers. Huh? So I put, oh my God, Impact finally took some shots at AEW after being AEW's whipping boy for weeks now, right? So this is finally because
yeah, they were just a punching bag
for sure, and now Dreamer took a couple shots. Like I think they need to. Trey wants to fight Romero tonight, but Dreamer wants to talk about hardcore justice. Dreamer offers Trey wisdom about not letting one guy, he's referring to Callahan, get in your head and make you lose your focus. Trey, I don't find him super believable as this angry / passionate character so far. He's fine here, but he still kind of feels like a guy pretending to be angry all the time, but maybe he'll get better. It's clear they're focusing on him, right? And I have liked him in ring a little bit better this time around, so I don't mean to be rude, but his character work still needs a bit of work. Rohit Raju versus Falaba. A match I didn't think that I was looking forward to, but I was pleasantly surprised. So Rohit dominates Ba early on until Ba fires up, and then a bit later, Rohit locks Ba in an armbar. Ba eventually gets to his feet and hits Raju with a series of clotheslines.
It's just weird when you're saying like Ba.
Ba then hits Rohit with a twisting slam and goes for a bonsai splash, but is knocked off the ropes. Rohit
bonsai drop? Like the Yokozuna?
Yeah, he's going to sit on him, basically. Drop. Rohit hits Ba with a double stomp for a 2 count, followed by Ba giving Raju a headbutt. Rohit comes back with a nice-looking jumping knee. He then avoids a bonsai drop again, gets a small package with, I guess they're trying to say it's a handful of tights for the victory.
Or a handful of whatever Ba wears.
I actually enjoyed this match for what it was. It was like a big 4 or 5 minute Impact TV match. Rohit picks up a solid win, and Ba actually looked okay in defeat here too. Rohit needs to continue the role he's on, in my opinion, and I guess he and Shera are officially done, which is like the fastest formation and breakup of a team I can remember.
Right, yeah.
Like 2 weeks, maybe, I think it was.
Right, yeah, that has to be, right?
It's a record. But I'm okay with Rohit on his own. He's awesome. Gia then
It just almost makes you wonder, why, like, they even brought Shera in.
And maybe they saw him in that match and were like, still not good.
Yeah, but I think they could have maybe, like...
Even just as a silent heater who barely ever wrestles.
Right.
I thought it made sense.
I feel like they could have done something.
I agree. I kind of like them together.
Even though I don't watch it
because Rohit's one of those guys where his mouth is going to get him in trouble, and then he sort of has somebody else to fix it for him, right? Gia asks Kenny and Don Callis for their thoughts on Rebellion, and she is told to wait like everyone else, and they'll address it in the ring. And then it's time for this week's Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan AEW paid advertisement. And Callis calls Kenny Omega. Don Callis and Kenny Omega join Tony and Tony in front of an AEW backdrop. Omega kept cutting off Tony Khan every time he was trying to hype matches. Callis and Omega walked off with Callis claiming he wasn't paid to be on this paid advertisement. Khan said Callis and Omega are getting paid. They get paid by Khan. Tony Schiavone ran through the advertised Dynamite card.
Why would Callis get paid by Khan?
I don't know why he would. But these are no longer very entertaining. Just kind of paid promotions for Dynamite. Like, they are actually what they are now. They're no longer, like, funny or must-see TV. Omega and Callis' brief involvement didn't really add anything either. So these are getting to the point where, like, they're not that entertaining to me anymore, unfortunately, because they were quite funny the first few weeks. So then we're back to the Good Brothers. They're knocking on Kenny Omega's door and talking about the tag titles. No one answers the door and they leave. I don't quite know what the point of this is. I think it's maybe like the idea that Kenny isn't as interested in them because they're not the champions anymore, because Kenny's all about gold and champions. So maybe it's this idea that the Good Brothers, because they lost the titles, like they're kind of not on the outs with Kenny, but like he's not as interested in hanging out with them, I guess. Yeah, so maybe that's what it is. Omega and Callis make their way to the ring for their little segment here. Omega is dressed to the nines in like ridiculously flashy heel gear, like his cowboy boots and his jacket are all super loud and obnoxious, but fits with his character for sure. Omega mocks the production crew for not giving him proper treatment, and Callis basically says that we can get anyone you want fired because Impact is your home as well, and we have the power, and if anyone you want fired, we'll just fire them. Callis then talks about Swan and says Swan is a great human being. Swan's problem is he could have a lot of good things happen to him in his life, but the one thing he can't get out of his head is the one-winged angel that he took at Hard to Kill. Callis talks about how nobody has kicked out of the one-winged angel before, which I don't think is true. I think Ibushi has.
I thought it was Okada.
I think Ibushi. I don't know. You can fact check. Go ahead.
Okay.
Omega speaks and says he figured out that the AEW title just isn't enough for him. Callis rhymes off a list of wrestlers before saying that Omega is better than all of them, including including a reference here to Ibushi, which I'm sure has set the internet afire, right? This hint that, oh my god, Omega mentioned Ibushi, imagine.
Right, because everyone has to, like, overstate.
Yes, and I think that Omega and Callis know that people will do that, so they plant that little seed, right? Like it's a little trap for people to fall right into. Callis reveals that he had people put together the Academy Award level vignette for the One-Winged Angel before. It's basically a montage of the move, and it includes the one that Swan took, but from multiple angles. So so Swan taking it is in there multiple times among a bunch of other ones, which was kind of funny. After the video, Omega says that he understands that Swan wants to etch his name in history, but Swan will just be a footnote in a history-making moment, with Omega becoming Impact champion. When Omega stepped foot in Impact, it was the greatest moment in the history of the company, but for Omega, it was just any other Tuesday. Omega says that at Rebellion, he's going to get 2 more titles, the Impact and TNA titles, and that no one is taking the belts from him unless he slips on a banana peel or dies from a deadly virus. People are about to see history, and Omega tells us to watch Rebellion and enjoy it. Callis wraps up by saying that he and Omega are going to continue to enact their plan, which they've been doing for 27 years. This was okay. It was a bit long and rambling for my taste. There were some good lines in there that I liked along the way. And Kenny feels a little different in Impact, like he's even dialing up his character even more so on Impact than he does on AEW. I don't know why. And if whoever they have decided is going to ever kick out of this One-Winged Angel, it's going to be like a huge deal, right? Because they're basically building this as the finisher of all finishers.
I swear, if it's Swan, I'm going to be so pissed.
I can't imagine it is. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's going to be Moose somewhere down the line, because Moose is gone. Like, he hasn't been on in a couple weeks, so I'm wondering if they're going to repackage him. And maybe he's the guy. I feel like
Ibushi kicking out makes sense.
Right? So anyways, these guys are great as obnoxious heels, but this wasn't as strong as the segment as Callis and Swan last week, I didn't think. Bottom line, strong heel work by both of them. Not a bad segment by any means, just not amazing either. And they're really just building this match, which I think should be a really good match. It kind of has to be for the amount of attention they're spending on it. Like, it's got to be a bit of an epic match, I'm hoping. The show then cuts to a Violent by Design vignette in like Eric Young's prison, that the same one that the Diener packages were in previously. This time he's interrogating Rhino instead of Diener, but in a very similar fashion. Young said that he didn't have to create the monster in Rhino because Rhino is already violent by design. Young said that all he had to do was awaken the monster, the War Machine. He talks about the sickness again that pollutes the minds of people. Show water being poured over Rhino as it's kind of like his baptism into this cult, I guess. Young said Rhino is baptized in the waters of change and that the world doesn't belong to you. And then Rhino says it belongs to us, sort of signifying that he is successfully indoctrinated into this group, I guess. I like this. The visuals are cool. Young did a good job in character as usual. It is super similar to the Diener things. It may feel repetitive, but for me, that's establishing his routine and his pattern. This is how he gets people into his group, right? I hope Rhino emerges with this as a new character with a new look like Diener did, but I have my doubts. And again, I'm not sure why they're still recruiting when, who's the big guy? Doesn't do anything.
Doring?
Yeah, they already have Joe Doring, who doesn't do anything in the group. So I don't know where it's going, but this was visually a cool segment, and I kind of liked it overall. Gia is then interviewing Havoc and Nevaeh backstage. Nevaeh says she's happy that they are on the winning side recently, and it might inspire her and Havoc to go after the tag titles. So that, of course, causes Fire and Flava, Tasha Steelz, and Kiera Hogan to show up, and they challenge Havoc and Nevaeh again, but not for the titles this time. So Kiera and Tasha walk out, just as Tenille Dashwood and Caleb with a K show up. Havoc tells Dashwood that she rejected her offer to team up. Dashwood says she was here to offer the same offer to Nevaeh this time, not Havoc. Havoc then sort of intimidates Caleb and Tenille, and they walk off. Stryker notes that Dashwood is trying to stir the pot and just cause trouble between these two. this wasn't bad, but it's starting to feel like there aren't any Knockouts tag teams left, right? And it's really only going back to Havoc and Nevaeh as contenders.
And it's like the women's tag titles in WWE, but like worse.
Yes, because there's really like, who else are they gonna wrestle? So you sort of have Kimberly and Susan, I guess, but they're not like an actual tag team. The only actual tag team I can think of is actually Havoc and Nevaeh at this point. And remember when we started this, it was like all the women had partners, and I thought it would be perfect for a Knockouts division. Tenille needs to start looking somewhere else for a partner. I would love some explanation of why she is so desperate for a tag partner. I don't think that's adequately being explained. Why is this super selfish social media influencer so desperate for a tag team partner? I don't know why. I would like to find out. Trey Miguel versus AC Romero with Larry D, obviously. And just my own personal opinion, AC Romero's heel facial expressions are so funny to me. He looks like a giant teddy bear, right? And nothing about him other than like the fact that he's 500 pounds is intimidating, but he tries so hard to like mug at the camera and look like a bad guy. It's really funny to me. It's not effective. Anyways, Trey charges AC right away with drop kicks and a suicide dive. AC quickly gains an advantage using his power and size to hit as we head into a commercial. AC crushes Trey with a splash to the back as he fights on. Trey lands a neck breaker from the top and a flurry of kicks to break down Romero. Trey hits the ropes for a springboard but gets caught with a pounce. This actually looked really awesome. He springboards, and as he's in midair, AC hits him with a pounce, and Trey is so small, right? He just flies across the ring. It looked really good. Trey hits the first rope sort of bouncing cutter. I think Leo Rush used to hit that.
Mm-hmm. Rush did a stunner.
So this is sort of bounces off the first rope and hits a low cutter, and then lands a Meteora that actually looked pretty good for the victory. Triple XL attack, but Sami Callihan magically teleports with a bat and saves Trey and then teleports away. So this was another like 4 or 5 minute Impact match, their standard sort of TV stuff, but I thought it was actually kind of fun. The contrast in size and styles was interesting. AC's move did look impactful, and Trey picks up another win. He's getting a push since re-signing with the company, right? And I don't mind that. He's growing on me a little bit. Sammy's ability to teleport makes me angry, kind of annoying. It's like a supernatural thing for no reason. He could just run down, or the lights could turn off for an appropriate amount of time for him to get to the ring instead of it being instant. I guess it furthers his story with Trey. We'll see where it's interesting that he's trying to kind of help Trey here, and we'll see where that relationship goes.
Did he lose the match?
Who?
Callahan. Or did he win?
He won when he fought Trey.
Oh, okay.
Which I only remember because I was kind of surprised by that. I figured Trey was going to win, right? But no, Callahan won. I'm almost positive. Gia, again, at this time she's interviewing Rich Swann about his thoughts on Kenny Omega and Don Callis' promo from earlier. Swann basically refers to it as jive talk and says they're trying to play mind games with him. He's had to fight through adversity his whole life, serious injuries, potential early retirement. He's going to give Omega his props for Hard to Kill, where the One-Winged Angel did lay Swann out. But every time he's in the ring with Omega and the Good Brothers, without the Good Brothers and Moose around, he gets the better of Omega. And I put a question mark because I don't really remember that being the case, but maybe that's true. I don't know. He finishes up by saying that he has some tricks up his sleeve, and that then uses his all night long catchphrase. I don't love his delivery, as I never do, but I do like what he said here, and the fact that he's not intimidated by Omega and Callis, I kind of like. I don't think that there's any way Swann wins this match, obviously, but the match should be really good. And I actually think I preferred Swann's promo here to the Omega Callis one earlier. And that's saying a lot because I generally love Callis and Omega and have issues with Swann's promo, but I thought he did a pretty good job here. Gia Miller, again, interviewing Sabin and James Storm, talking about Storm's next match being his 1,000th match in Impact Wrestling, which is pretty crazy because I think that's actually true. Storm addresses Violent by Design coming after him and said he's seen everything there is to see in Impact. He then challenges Eric Young to a match anytime, any place. D'Amore shows up and calls Sabin and Storm pillars of Impact Wrestling. D'Amore says that next week he's booking James Storm versus Eric Young on Impact for Storm's 1,000th match. I thought this was a good standard mic work by Storm. He's very comfortable speaking at this point after 1,000 matches over many years. He's pretty good on the mic. And I think it's cool that it's him and Eric Young that they've set up for his 1,000th match because they've obviously worked together as teammates and opponents millions of times, so they should be able to have a pretty good match together. And I have to say, Scott D'Amore has grown on me as a babyface authority figure, because I think that's a pretty hard character to play, because usually they're really weak and they just get walked all over by the heels all the time, right? But D'Amore doesn't. And I feel like that snarky, like sarcastic stuff he was doing a lot early on, he now uses a little bit more sparingly, and I prefer it. We then get the main event, which is Eddie Edwards versus Carl Anderson with holds and counters to start. Eddie gets dumps Anderson into ringside with a lariat, and then he hits Anderson and Gallows with a suicide dive. Gallows is then set up in a chair because he needs to convince the referee that he isn't going to get involved, so he sits in this chair. Anderson gets the better of Eddie in the ring. He works on him with sort of a methodical offense and a chin lock that's sort of annoying, that, again, it's just early and too long for a chin lock. A few minutes, Eddie comes back with lariats and chops, reverses a vertical suplex from Anderson for his own front suplex, hits Anderson with a backpack stunner for a 2 count, and then we get a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count by Eddie. They sort of have a forearm exchange in the center of the ring, and Anderson hits an uppercut, and Eddie comes back with a headbutt. Then we get a leaping Yakuza kick for a 2 count. Eddie reverses a gun stun into a rolling elbow. Eddie rolls up Anderson for a 2 count. And using the kick out for momentum, Anderson sends Eddie running right into a chair that Gallows has held up, obviously. And Anderson picks up the win after the chair shot, and he hits a spine buster. So the Impact Tag Champions, David Finlay and Juice Robinson, appear on the big screen standing in front of the New Japan press conference backdrop. Finlay talks about how dominant he and Juice have been in Japan. Juice joked that the Good Brothers didn't like carrying their own bags, which means they must be relieved because their bags are now 10 pounds lighter without the Impact Tag belts, which was kind of funny. Finlay said they would keep going to hit the town and have a few drinks, and Juice ended the promo by saying kanpai, which is cheers in Japanese apparently. This match was okay. It wasn't spectacular. It was a decent TV match, a very standard Eddie Edwards match. It kind of feels like most of his matches are very similar. These are 2 experienced guys who are pretty good wrestlers, but there really wasn't any story or build for this, and I never thought for a second that Eddie Edwards was going to get a win over a Good Brother. So it wasn't a great match, but it wasn't bad. I like Finn Juice appearing at the end just to sort of remind us and keep them fresh in our minds, because really they were only on Impact for not very long, a few weeks maybe, so it's nice that they remind us they exist and have the belts, and their insults towards the Good Brothers are always appreciated by me, because I don't like the Good Brothers, so anyone wants to take shots at them, I'm happy. Overall, a solid episode of Impact. Some parts disappointing. Some of the matches actually surprised me, like 5-minute matches I kind of enjoyed. So none of the matches were amazing, but the only one I really didn't like was the opener with Jazz versus Gianna Purrazzo. Segment-wise, Callis and Omega were decent, but a little bit too long. Violent by Design vignette was cool, I thought. The backstage interviews were solid, furthered storylines. Swingers Palace was bad, as it always is, but was mercifully short. And Swan's promo I thought was pretty good. So I'm going to give it a B-, almost a B, which seems like about the average for Impact, and I feel bad because I feel like I'm constantly giving them similar ratings for each show, but I think it's just like a consistently solid show right now. Like, it's never amazing, but it's never awful. Well, maybe once it's been awful, a couple times, but it's generally like just a solid show, and I can't help it. I'm sorry if it's repetitive, but that's kind of how I feel about it every week. So a decent show, nothing super amazing again this week. Yeah. Nice. All right. So let's move into our last segment of every Saturday show, and that is where Jack updates us on the world of wrestling figures in Figuring It Out with Jack.
Yeah. Don't got much to update on, just a wee bit AEW stuff.
Sure.
So we got some render images for AEW Unrivaled Series 6.
So this is just for people that aren't into figures. This is pictures of what the next figures will look like?
Yeah, they're just like digital renderings.
Right.
So we got Penta L0M.
Nice.
Yeah. Ray Phoenix.
Also nice.
Jake Hager, which I mean, I'd get him.
Sure.
Chris Jericho, MJF, and Hikaru Shida.
Hikaru?
Chase variants are unknown, but Sheeta's been rumored for one.
Right.
The images are gray, so attires are unknown, but so Lucha Bros appear to have new head scans because, they have, like, the open mouth one.
Yeah.
Penta's kind of got, like, the tongue out.
Yep.
And Phoenix kind of got, like, they've got closed mouth, kind of muted expressions.
Nice.
Opposed to their open mouth scans from Series 2. Jericho has, like, a screaming expression that looks cool from what you can see because they're, like, all gray renders, right?
Right.
So it looks different from his kind of grinning open mouth ringside exclusive one that I got, the bubbly exclusive, and then the Series 1 kind of just, like, teeth gritting face.
Snarling.
Right.
Yeah.
And MJF just seems to have the same head as his Series 2 figure, which is kind of like the smirk.
Yep.
And then Hager and Sheeta are new, so yeah.
Yep.
They all look fine from the renders, honestly. It's hard to tell. And then AEW Unrival 2 is back up for pre-order. Just as a reminder, the series includes Hangman Adam Page from All Out 2019 when he faced Jericho. And Jericho became the first champion.
Yep.
MJF from Double or Nothing 2019. John Moxley from Revolution 2020 when he won the AEW title.
Mm-hmm.
I think MJF's from the Casino Battle Royal.
Nice.
Which would be Dustin Rhodes from Dynamite October 9th, 2019. And the Lucha Bros, who are also from Double or Nothing 2019, from their match against the Young Bucks. Not the ladder match. That was All Out.
Right.
Lucha Bros and Moxley are already sold out, which makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Honestly, not just because I like him, I'm surprised Page isn't sold out, because he's pretty popular.
He is.
But Hangman, Dustin Rhodes, and MJF are still available. I've ordered Hangman and Lucha Bros and Walters, which still have not come.
Patiently waiting.
Chase variants are John Moxley, who's got, like, bottles and, like, this spray painted inner circle shirt.
Nice.
From one of those segments. And then MJF, who's got pink trunks as opposed to, I think, like, the red design, and it has, like, an exclusive interchangeable hand with the ring.
Oh, nice.
But those are near impossible to find. I've heard there's some distribution issues where, like, some people are able to find, like, multiple of them, and then and, like, most people get squat.
Right.
So,
seems to be how it goes sometimes.
And me being in Canada, who hasn't even seen a
double
single
squat.
AEW figure, yes, double squat.
Never seen one in the
literally,
flesh.
I have no chance at these Chase variants unless I were to buy one online for a ridiculous price.
Well, I mean, the price isn't bad, but then it's the shipping and the duty and the exchange that we get killed by. So it makes it
and, like, these
much
Chase
more
variants are going to be pretty expensive.
Well, that
like,
too,
they go for, like, thousands.
Then you're never getting
they're out of 500. They're, like, 500, 1,000.
That's crazy.
Pieces, right? So they're pretty rare, like, especially these distribution issues.
For sure.
But, yeah.
That it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Not news for the week. I'm waiting for them to freaking, like, actually reveal Series 5.
Yeah.
New Hangman. Hopefully, like, his updated attire, with, like, long tights, and then there's Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy.
Maybe it'll be next week.
Scorpio Sky and John Moxley. Hopefully they fix his height. And there's also Kaz. Don't really care about him. Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy. No. Yeah, that's the whole series.
Nice. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of another week.
Also want to see Elite 86.
Episode 36 is winding down, so we would like to thank you if you gave us any time this week. That is fantastic. And if you haven't already, go back and check out our Fastlane review if you want to hear us complain.
If you like angry people.
But yeah, thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week, if not sooner, if we decide to throw out any bonus episodes. Who knows? We just do it on our whim, basically, at this point, other than Saturday. We'll be here every Saturday for sure. So until then, everybody, take care.